middle of the night or early Friday morning, depending upon where you are in the world, a group of experienced comics professionals get together to examine and instruct about the art form that they love. That's great comic artwork on Comics by Night, Fridays at 5 a.m. Eastern, here on the Indie Comics Network, indiecomicsnetwork.com.
What was that? This is not a charade.
Well, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for that intro there, Pedro. We do appreciate that one.
Oh yeah, that was really fun to do.
Bow, ba-da-ba-dow, bow, ba-dum, bum. Yes, little funk in the morning.
Yeah,
Hope you guys are doing well. Randy is not going to be with us today. Randy is sick. Him and Monica both are just really fighting something, so they're off to the docks. Let's be sure to give them some prayer today. Let everyone know that we're thinking of them, and or let them know that we're thinking of them. Maybe drop him a note. Just let him know he's been missed today. Folks out there, if you can, appreciate that. Oh, wow, what a morning. So we were supposed to have Chuck on today.
Yep.
But Chuck double booked his day. And so there's some miscommunication. He thought it was 9 p.m. and not 9 a.m. And so he let me know yesterday that he wasn't going to be able to make it this morning.
Wow.
And but good news. I put it out there, and so today we've got a guy named Roland Mann. Are you familiar with Roland Mann at all? Roland Mann.
I am not. I can safely say.
Well, Roland, he's been around publishing books for a while.
Okay.
And he was with I think he was it Caliber? What was it? Hold on a second. I'll try to remember.
So nobody's familiar with him at all.
He did Cat and Mouse. He started Silverline Comics. I'm trying to remember who he worked for before.
I heard of Silverline. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who he worked for before. Give me a second. It's in my head. I got to go back to the Rolodex. What was the name of those 90s companies that were popping up everywhere? There were so many of them. Malibu. That's the one he worked for.
Oh,
He was,
Malibu. Wow.
Yeah, he worked for Malibu when it was starting up.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it was kind of a. I remember, man, we used to look at all those Malibu books. They were kind of. Let me look up Malibu comics real quick and get some of their titles. So, but it's neat. So he's. I met him a few years ago. Now I've known who Roland is for a few decades, right? Since the 90s. And so when I saw him on the scene a few years back, I got real excited because, like, hey, I remember this guy, and, Malibu Comics was kind of a big deal to me. Just kind of like Arrow Comics was kind of a big deal to me, and those kind of things. It was actually when I was on a live stream with Roland that I found out that Randy was the same Randy from Arrow Comics. I didn't know that he was prior to that. I just thought he was some old guy that I streamed with and had a lot of opinions about comic books. I had no idea that he was, Randy Zimmerman. So pretty funny stuff. So I was I was very excited because I was, we were going to be on this show, and I was going to get to meet Roland Mann. And when I come on, I'm a little, I'm kind of a little nervous because this was early on in my streaming, so I wasn't real confident, comfortable with it like I am now, And so I'm on the stream. I don't know what to say, and Roland goes, Randy Zim from Arrow Comics, and so he kind of starts to get excited, right? And I'm like, wait a second, he's excited about Randy.
Nice.
And then I realized oh, that's the same. Okay. So it all started to fall into place for me because I'm not really one of those guys that knows names and those kind of things. I'm more familiar with work, right? So it was really that, the work that inspired me. Well, I don't know. Do you guys remember okay, so some of the books they did was Genesis, Gravestone, Man of War, Protectors.
Man of War rings a bell. Yeah.
X Mutants, Dinosaurs for Hire was fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
That was kind of all of the Genesis, and they had the Ultraverse, where they did the Exiles.
The Exiles. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
They were eventually picked up by Marvel, right?
Well, I believe so. So yeah, they were acquired. Yeah, they were acquired by, I think, Marvel. But we'll get into all of that later with their editor-in-chief.
Nice.
With their boss. I believe he was the editor-in-chief over there. At least his name was on a crap ton of books. He was a busy guy. So yeah, it was good times. So yeah, so he reached out and said, "Hey, I might be available," and so he has a day job, but so he's swinging by at 10.
Oh,
and
nice.
He'll be here from 10 to noon with us. So until then, we're gonna read some news.
Let's do it.
We're gonna enjoy the news today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't have Randy today, so we have two choices: the Canadian Mountie or Tony Montana reading the news. I don't know.
Right, Tony Montana.
The Canadian what?
The Canadian Mountie.
There's a Canadian in the news?
Tony Montana reading the
Tony
news.
Montana reading the news.
Tony Montana.
All right. So you think I'm a cockroach? Huh?
Oh, I understand the joke now. I got that reference.
Yeah.
Yes. Malibu was extreme. That was one of them. So yeah, they had a lot going on back then. I mean, this was in the boom.
Yeah.
This was the crazy boom with the 90s and all the fun stuff that was going on. So it's good times. And so looking forward to asking him a bunch of questions. I know I've got quite a few. I've got quite a few for him. So, all right. Whiskey, tell me about your week. How's it been going?
Lots of work, man. Just generally, just kind of that stuff. I've been watching a lot of MASH and spending a lot of time with my fiance. So good, I guess. Yeah, good.
MASH.
MASH, like the classic. Yeah. TV show.
Yeah, I love that show.
No, that's General Hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Hawkeye, and
Trapper.
Trapper. Yeah,
Rapper.
yeah, Trapper left after like what was it, the second, third season, something like that.
Oh, it's been
Yeah,
a
they
while.
got somebody
I'm still in the first, second. I think I may have just started the third. I'm not sure, because I'm just kind of watching them and I'm just not really paying attention to the episodes. So like I'm just like because I watch videos when I work, to, like do stuff because it can just be in the background. So it's just Mash is on, and I have no idea what episode I'm on.
Yeah.
I think I just finished the one where, what was it? The Christmas episode.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. So so there is an iconic episode from MASH. I think it's the last episode when he's talking about this lady with a chicken.
The psychology one.
Yeah, the psychology one, and he's talking about when he first got there, and that that Charlie, or that they were coming in, and the enemy was gonna find him, and this lady had this chicken that wouldn't shut up. I think it was a chicken. Maybe it was a dog. I don't remember.
No, it was a
Pretty
chicken.
sure it was a chicken. Yeah, I thought I remember.
Well, I mean,
that,
it
right?
wasn't really a chicken, but
Right.
it was a
Right.
chicken.
So he's going there, and so he kept yelling at the lady to make the chicken shut up, and so the lady broke the chicken's neck, killed it.
Ugh.
And then when he kind of retells, and then kind of at the end of that, you see that she's holding the baby.
Oh no!
Yeah, so family friendly program.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like, so that was how he started his time of war, and he was all like, by the, and you could tell like why he was the way that he was in the show, by that little bit of storytelling. They were so good at telling story on that show. It was quite nice. Of course, my favorite part was when the lieutenant, the guy that's in charge, their CEO, when they changed him over and they actually used the same actor that was a general in season 1 that was the racist crazy general from that episode, which was super funny. Because, back then they just like would dive right into the culturally inappropriate things.
That would never
for
fly
satire.
today.
Yeah, but it was satire. It was comedy because they were pointing out the fact that it was jacked up. They were like, "Look, this behavior is jacked up," and it was funny. But so he wound up getting taken away in a crazy one. But they brought him back, that actor back. But that was back before, you could stream it, and it's like, well, yesterday you were this guy.
What'd you guys like better, MASH the movie or MASH the TV show?
Oh, the TV show.
The TV show. I barely remember the movie. Barely.
I like the movie better. I think it's a little bit more hard hitting.
You did? You like the movie, huh?
Yeah. Well, I like both, to be honest. It's MASH.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, it's unfair to compare because to me they're like two completely different mediums. Because I mean, long form storytelling, then you go to like movies where you have like an hour, 2 hour stops to tell the story. It's just a different kind of narrative. So I don't know. I don't think it's fair to compare them.
I mean, I guess you can kind of compare them because
Yeah.
if you it's like you could say that like MASH the movie is a lot better than the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, right?
But we're a better movie to movie there.
Yeah, but if you go to the TV show for MASH, it's decent, which is based on that. So there is some comparison shows that are, there's some comparison there because you could draw comparisons.
Yeah, overlapping, but in the end, like I don't know, like I do enjoy more long form storytelling more so than condensed. Like for example, when they adapt books into movies, I'm always mad. I always leave mad if I read the book because it's like it's missing that and that and that, and it's not fair. You know what I mean?
Oh well, we've got. Just saying MASH is lame.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, it's suitable for me. I don't think I could actually handle it in a combat situation.
Yeah.
I think if you put me out there, it could go one of two ways. I could either go full on Rambo,
Okay.
or I would go nuts. I would go crazy probably.
I don't know, man. When I was
think maybe
16,
my compassion would take
when
me.
I was 16, I was presented with the opportunity during the invasion of Panama, and I chose not to fight. So,
Guys, we got a stand-in
Where's
co-host
that?
with us this morning.
hey,
Rex
what's up, Rex?
just
Hello.
launched on his campaign. What was it? 2 days ago?
I think we're in the 5th day. We funded in 4 days.
Funded
Very
in 4
cool.
days.
Congratulations,
Fund My Comic.
man.
We'll take a look at that later.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, Luke.
yeah, but thanks for coming hanging out with us a little bit this morning.
Maybe we'll make the bird dance today.
You're no Randy, but none of us are, right?
Mm-mm.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
We love that guy. We love you too, Rex.
Yeah.
Look at him. He smiled like, yeah. Yeah, man. Congratulations on hitting your goal already.
Yeah.
Man, you're gonna be blowing past that. You got any stretch goals in mind?
Oh man. Oh man.
You been thinking about that?
I've been limiting myself, Luke.
I
Oh
My God.
Okay.
This thing's gonna go off like a rocket here pretty soon. You just wait and see. Glenn Fleming, he's gonna be in the house. He's going to be doing some work on the artist edition in the back of it.
Glenn says, Luke, you'd be surprised how someone coming to kill you would change you. Right.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
can
thing.
see that.
When it's real, it changes you. Like I didn't know what it would be like laying on my deathbed till I was there. You don't know. You just don't know what you're gonna go through. What's gonna
Change
go
your perspective. It's a
crazy.
hard climb back up to
Everything
sanity,
changes.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Pedro, how's your week again? What's going on?
Oh, dude, it's just work. 2024. People say we're in a recession down here, but I'm not feeling it. Thanks
Right.
to all you beautiful comic book producers that are putting me to work. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna say something that's probably wildly unpopular, but there is money to be had in comic books.
Yeah,
But mostly if you're a producer.
exactly.
Like if you provide a service,
Mhm.
you can make a living doing comic books pretty easy.
Yeah, the guy who made the most money in the gold rush was the guy selling the shovels.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I turned out from being a miner myself to kind of selling shovels.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I love it. It's a lot of creative.
Stimulating.
Yeah. very
I'm
creative,
writing a
stimulating.
book right now. The title is called My Friend Luke Stone. I Knew Him When.
Nice.
I don't know about that. It is nice to have a crowdfunding website that offers more money to the creators during a tight time financially for us, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, how much time and thought did you put into the platform after all that happened to you? I mean, what was it? A quick decision? Was it something you had been thinking about previously? Everybody was clamoring for it. They were asking for it. We need this. We need that. I heard a lot of chatter about that, especially when the shadow banning was going on. How'd it come
Brother,
about?
it was a lot of thought, man. I knew I wanted something for myself, but I didn't really know if it was reasonable to expect that we could maintain the financial and the manpower aspect of doing something for everyone. Like if people would actually use the platform. And that's always the question, will people use it, right? But we're seeing a lot of people use it. And I mean, some people still choose not to. But what we're learning is that we don't need those people. That really, Fund My Comic is ruled by the mid to lower tier creators that are just kind of starting or really trying to gain their foothold. If what we would call a titan will swing over, they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. And it's good for everybody. It's nice. Yeah. So, but a lot of thought went into it. And so, I mean, we're still thinking about it. We're still putting work into it. It's a daily job, man. Daily job.
Yeah.
So Rex, we know you had a good week.
Mm-hmm.
How did the launch go?
the launch, we had over $800 in less than an hour. It was
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Now, what channel did you launch on?
Red Valkyrie. And it was great
Very
to see her
nice.
in the red
Oh,
rooster suit.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
You
so
should have seen it. I've still got it pulled up. I'm still reading some of the chat because it went by so quick. And the thing of it was, they sent me the link 4 or 5 times. Justin was trying to send me the link. They eventually had to drop it in the chat and delete it, to let me in because it just wasn't showing up.
Oh, that's odd.
So I was kind of late to my launch. My own launch.
Late to your own launch. That's
But
hilarious.
I think everybody had some fun, man. It was
I'll
great.
be late to my own funeral.
At least you're not
I
late
hope
to
so.
lunch.
Yeah, very good, man. It's exciting. Well, let's go visit our chat. See who's here
I mean,
today with us.
yeah, being late to your own launch, it's very Rex. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's
It's so Rex.
that's
It
100%
is, isn't
Rex,
it?
isn't it?
Yeah.
We got Ronan in the house today. Welcome, my friend. Hale, it's good to have you here. We got Glenn Fleming. Welcome, Glenn. It's good to have you here today. Dave Brink from Genuine Comics.
Hey.
So good to see you here today. The comic book black belt himself, Russ Leach.
So
Is here. We've got Devil Flyer in the chat and on the panel. Thank you so much for being here. There's Hojo. Hojo's in the house. Welcome. Philbo Baggins is with us today as well. I did like that movie, Stripes. It was quite good. It's quite good. I
Boom
really like.
chakalaka, boom chakalaka, boom chakalaka, boom.
There you go.
there you go.
And I really liked. I liked Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, like that was good. That was the one D'Onofrio was in, right?
Yep. He was Gomer Pyle.
Man, he's a freaking amazing actor.
Gomer Pyle.
He's probably my favorite actor.
What
He kinda
about
played that character?
what about Hogan's Heroes?
That was fun.
Anybody fan
The
of that?
show was hilarious, man.
Hey, Nikki.
I know
Oh,
nothing.
nothing. I see nothing. That's Schultz, man. That's
Love
the best.
Schultz, man.
Yeah, dude. That's...
Welcome,
You-
Immortal
you-
Rising
look-
Comics. It's good to have you.
Luke,
here.
they had an episode where the Commandant, Hogan, was a nobody before the war. It was Schultz that was a toy maker and owned a factory and lost it all because of the war. He was actually the successful
Really?
one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Commander Clink, what's his name, right?
Clink, he was
yeah.
like a nobody before the war.
Even
Nice.
Nobody got promoted. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love.
Didn't he ask him
Schultz.
for a job in that episode? Clink asked Schultz for a job.
I think so, probably, yeah.
That's
I
one
gotta
of
see that show again, man.
That's one of
The name.
They need to start streaming that one again.
Yeah, dude.
He called him on his shoe phone because that was a
Yeah.
thing back in the 60s.
No, wasn't that like Maxwell Smart? Get Smart.
That was Get Smart, yeah.
Get
Yeah,
Smart was
the
always
Missed
the
it
one
by
too.
that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, missed it by that much.
That much.
I always love the cone of
Cone of Silence.
silence. Cone of
Yeah,
silence.
they had a smaller portable guy that was
It was
connected
so
by
funny.
a tube in the middle.
It was so
Unwieldy,
funny.
man.
Pedro, how do we go about getting you organized
Oh,
to
you-
make a
you-
trailer?
You hit me on X.
Hit him on the
and-
X.
Hit me
X-
on the X at
X
Angela.
marks the spot.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Bye.
Jolly Green. Welcome, Jolly Green. It's good to have you here this morning. Good morning. Good morning, Tree Goblin. Is in the house. It's great to have you here. Joining us over from Rex's channel is Chris Longfellow. Welcome, Chris. It's good to have
Oh,
you here.
shoot,
Bacon
Tree's
time.
on
It is
everybody's
bacon
channel.
time.
Are you kidding? He's everywhere.
Yeah, he is.
Oh.
Let me see what else we got. In my opinion, Stripes and Full Metal Jacket faded in the second half.
We kind of did.
Yeah, the story as it continued in both films.
I
wasn't
did
really
like
done
the kid sniper, man. The kid sniper in Full Metal Jacket. Like I wasn't expecting that.
Welcome, Bacon.
Hey, smoking, right?
Yes, bacon, bacon, bacon.
Yeah.
Speaking of bacon, this morning we are going to get into some news, and hopefully it will generate some bacon bits today. How have you guys been
Tony
liking
Montana.
the bacon bit clips that we've been doing?
You mean the
Guys
ones
liking
where
those?
I'm never in them?
The shorts.
Oh yeah, well you're in some.
Oh, okay. Whiskey. That's my show. Okay. The bacon
It's
bits.
okay.
That's I'm always there for some reason, even if I'm not talking.
That's my freaking show. He goes, that's
Yeah,
my
it's-
freaking show.
That's my freaking show. I'm
That's
the nosy
his freaking
neighbor.
show.
Just like, what you guys talking about? What you guys talking about?
Yeah, he's like Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson, only without the wise, only without the wisdom,
It's
only
okay,
without the
Paige.
wise sayings.
It's good with just Pedro.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just
Jonas.
make it the Pedro show.
Yeah,
He's the only face that the system recognizes.
exactly.
All right,
It's
man. Let's get
biased.
into the news. Where's my? There it is. That's the one I want.
There you
That's
go.
the one I want. There we go.
There you
I
go.
lost my layout. I created a couple new layouts and it shuffled everything around. All right, check this out, guys.
Yeah. Free RPG Day gets a date.
Yes.
Mm.
So they've been talking about Free RPG Day. We have Free Comic Book Day. We all love Free Comic Book Day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's nice. Free RPG Day gets a date. 2024 event features top RGB publishers.
Yeah, but aren't RPG nerds like more vicious than comic book nerds? That they're really
Yes,
the DSJW thing. So I don't know how this is gonna pan out.
They're I don't know.
They love free stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
they do.
Gaming Days LLC, that's a fun company, has announced the date for Free RPG Day in 2024. Free RPG Day will take place on June 22nd, 2024. That's 2 days before my wedding anniversary. This event offers retailers a treasure trove of RPG adventures, previews, exclusives, and accessories to distribute in their stores to customers. Some of the companies featured at this year's event include Renegade Game Studios, Come On, WizKids, R. Talzorian Games, Kobold, Press.
Kobold.
We'll get there eventually. Lucky Duck Games, Goodman Games, Paizo,
Peso.
Bingo, Bango, Bongo, 1985 Games,
Okay.
Foam Brain Games, Serious Dice, Evil Genius, and more.
More.
My gosh.
Well, the thing is, like, the one who's making a killing right now is Peso. Because those are the guys who make Pathfinder, and that's gonna
Yes.
supplant D&D in no time.
It is.
It already is. So yeah.
It's on its way.
They're just as woke as the D&D people though.
Yeah, they are.
Right. Good for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I used to play, but it was mostly homebrew, and it's all like friends of mine. But going to events like that is just exposing yourself to a lot of BS.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Simon. It's Simon. Like,
It used to be actually. Sorry, I
that's what
interrupted
she
you.
said.
Yeah,
It's Simon.
Simon. Yeah.
But you're right though. It used to be our D&D, our Dungeons and Dragons role playing games. They used to be just filled with like regular nerds, but they kind of just pushed it all out.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like the comic book industry, just like the tabletop game industry, for war games, we're just not welcome anymore. And then you have to find your own thing, and
Yeah.
Or make your own thing. And,
Make your
you
own
know,
thing,
It's, yeah. And the problem is, when you're making your own thing, is that you're not a professional to start out with.
Mm-hmm.
We are just talking about this before the show started. You kind of have to learn how to be a professional. You have to learn the trade, those kind of things. Now, granted, there's some professionals that, aren't allowed in those arenas anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Who's banging away?
What is your definition of a professional? I asked Mike Barron, and he gave me a definition. What's your what's your
Well, I guess somebody that gets paid to
definition
do
of a
it,
professional?
at a high caliber. Somebody
Okay.
that
His definition was someone that did it full time for a living.
yeah, I mean, technically I do art full time, but I mean, I still look, I'm a professional, but I'm
Right.
still learning. I mean, there's a lot to learn. I don't know near the stuff that some of these other people know. They've been doing it for decades.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you're a professional doesn't mean you stop learning, but I mean, it's an ethos, it's a sense of responsibility, it's ethics. More than talent is what makes you a professional. I mean, can you deliver your books on time? Do you have good communication skills with your peers and with your customers? There's several things that people need to learn before calling themselves professional. So
Yeah,
I don't know. That's the way I see
communication.
it.
I didn't used to call myself a professional until other people started calling me that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You don't call yourself a professional. You get called professional by others, preferably by clients.
There you
This
go.
one should be good. Check this out.
Yeah.
IDW hires for marketing.
Ooh.
IDW Publishing has hired to its marketing team for the book trade and for social media, the company announced. Holly Aitkeson has joined the company as book trade marketing manager. In that position, they will lead marketing efforts for the top shelf production lines and book channel focus efforts of IDW's original collected editions. Prior to joining IDW, Aitkeson has had sales and marketing stints at Humanoids, Oni Press, and Boom Studios. It just kind of feels like they all just like kind of recycle employees around and around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like a revolving door of ineptitude.
Yeah, right. If they were so good, why aren't they still there making more money?
Exactly. Like we fired her because she was amazing. Like that doesn't make any
But
sense.
it's also kind of goes to this new mentality that the only way that you can get a raise is to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
is to quit and go somewhere else. I don't know.
I mean,
Anyway.
there's also this thing that companies don't really cultivate an environment of loyalty to themselves. Like employees are made to feel like you're expendable. Like people work for 5 years in a company, they're let go, they go to another. Like there's no company man anymore because companies are not loyal. So why would employees be loyal? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it goes both ways.
Here's an outside hire. Jasmine Baker is IDW's new social media manager, a role in which she will use IDW socials to promote IDW releases. She comes to IDW from PBS, where she was an associate producer, and Barnes & Noble, where she was a manga and comics lead.
All right.
Luke, I feel like that if Jack Kirby or some of these other people that have been around comics and made comics what they are today, if they would have walked into a room with some of these, it's like, get the kids out of here. We're trying to work and be professionals around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send the kids home. Send the kids home. We're working. Well, here we go. Here's Oni again in the mentioned in the presses here.
Yep.
Oni gets webtoon titles with 3 million subscribers.
Oh, 30,000 books in sales. Cool.
Right. So what we've learned is subscribers doesn't always equal sales.
Yep.
Right, about 10%. About 10% of that. So with 3 million, they're probably going to get 30,000 copies sold. That's about right.
Which is good.
Which is good. It's no.
It's a good haul. Yeah.
I'm not selling 30,000 copies.
Neither am I.
Boy, if I sold 30,000 copies of anything, I'd be happy.
Yep. You wouldn't see me again for a while.
Genuine says, I'm a professional amateur.
There you go.
Welcome, Shadowhawk. Good to have you here this morning. We've also got Carrie in the house. Welcome, Carrie.
What's up, Carrie?
Good to have you here. I see that link joining us over from Rex's channel. Do appreciate that. All right, what else do we got going? Okay, so Oni Press.
For making it available.
Oni Press has acquired print rights to a webtoon title with 3 million subscribers and will release a print collection in September, the company announced. Sub-Zero, which has 375 million reads on webtoon, is by debut creator and ex-accountant Juniper. Ex-accountant.
Juniper. Huh?
I need to.
As it. Okay.
I like that name, Juniper.
Juniper.
Is it Juniper or Juniper?
I think it's Juniper.
I don't know.
That second R is confusing.
I don't
me.
know anything.
You know.
Who says of the property Sub-Zero is a love letter to fantasy stories, palace dramas, and romance, created as an escape during a very low period of my life. Ooh, a little romance.
Yeah.
A little drama.
I mean, that needs to make a comeback. Cause, I mean, there was romance comic books.
This is going to be very popular with the YA girls, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe that this is they're gonna see this is a good way to get girls into the comic shops buying books.
Yep.
In my opinion.
How does it have 375 million reads in Webtoon?
I don't know.
So that's the kind of pertinent question we should ask ourselves.
Confession. I've never been to Webtoon.
There you go.
I have.
I've never actually typed the website in.
Yeah.
Chris Faction, yo, welcome. It's good to have you here this morning.
Hey, what's up, man?
Chat, let us know. Have any of you been to Webtoon?
I think I'm getting at here is like even in our little circle of with indie comics and stuff like that, is there anybody with 375 million reads? And who
Is
are these
there
people that are
anybody out there?
Oh, are
who
you
are
saying
these
it could be
people reading?
bots?
You know,
Saying it could be
Is
paid
it-
for?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
mean,
curious.
probably they have it. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like the webtoon consumer, it's. I mean, they have a big Korean readership
Right,
that are
right.
used to consuming comics this way. So more than likely, they counted people who read them over and over again. You know, like somebody read it 10 times, they all
Right.
count as one reader. So maybe that's where the number comes from. And dude, this is really big with like young adults and ladies. Like they love webtoon.
Well, let me ask
Hmm.
this: do webtoon people do they? That's free, right?
Yeah, the thing is like after you get some, like I mean, I got into it because a lot of my
No,
students wanted
no.
to make a webtoon. So what they saying like you get monetized after you get like a level of subscribers, and then webtoons pay you or something
Like
along those
YouTube.
lines. Yeah, yeah. So it's that kind of deal. But dude, you have to be like top tier to get paid through webtoons, and it's not much.
Hmm.
So 375 million. Even if those reads are free,
Yeah,
that's 375 million potential advertisements that might check out the other
yeah,
things
yeah,
too.
exactly.
Right. So my question is though, how will that translate to book sales?
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
those people that are typically used to getting their content for
Mhm.
free going to be willing to step into a store and buy a print copy? I
Yeah,
Somebody.
wonder. I wonder.
yeah. Have you seen the Japanese house? They're not that big. Those guys are not big into
Mm.
buying books.
Well, hmm.
So Oni Press senior editor Grace Shippeter described the story: dragons, love triangles, danger,
Hmm.
and magic combined in this action-packed romance fantasy graphic novel.
Okay.
She said Cairo and Cloves, enemies to lovers romance,
Oh, I'm gonna
edges
love
on
this.
steamy in this first volume, with more romantic tension and encounters to come.
Yes.
This is not a book for me.
Yeah, so this is like
This
what's
is
that?
not my thing.
What's that movie that make all the ladies like swoon? Uh, the
The
guy with the
Notebook.
billionaire who got the plain Jane.
Oh
Was
yeah,
it the 50 Shades
50
of Grey?
Shades.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
50
like 50
Shades
Yeah.
Shades of Grey underwater or something.
Yeah.
That's a,
in
yeah,
Middle Earth. This is like 50
yeah,
Shades of Grey in Middle Earth.
yeah.
Well, whether it be that or Dorian Gray or something, they're always, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
I was like, yeah, I
trying to
want the
talk
psychopath
in a
to
book like,
have his way with me.
Right.
Woo!
So the print volume, collecting episodes 0 through 25 of the
hey, Doc.
webtoon and previously unpublished back matter material, will street on September 25th, 2024, with a new cover by Juniper. The webtoon has been paused for the past 3 months, but resumed with a new episode on February 4th. So here's let's check out the gallery.
Do we have to?
Yeah, that's what we do
Okay.
here. We check out the gallery.
This is
Right.
perfectly good Korean art. Okay.
It is. This is very anime looking.
No, this is manhwa, sir. It's
Mangwa,
different.
whatever.
Manhwa. This is made in Korea. So you see, like the structure of the face is different from anime. The eyes are not that
A
big.
little bit, yeah.
More slanted. They're more angular. Like they do things different in Korea.
I like Korea,
Yeah.
the South one anyway.
Right on.
Yeah, yeah. The food is excellent.
I mean, maybe beyond the food, I'm not actually a huge fan of the Korean culture.
Korea. You don't.
Ah,
I like
everybody,
Japan.
everybody, cancel whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
That
Japan.
was horrible, sir.
Well, I mean, it's the culture. I didn't say the people.
Yeah.
He's like I prefer
You know
the
what?
Japanese.
You know what?
Not the people, but
You
everything
know what you
represent
get when you
irks me. Yeah.
you know what you get when you put whiskey with the woke crowd?
Mm.
Watered down whiskey.
Yep.
Watered down
Ooh.
whiskey.
Okay.
We don't want our whiskey watered down. We like it full strength
Yeah.
around here.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we got to check out the top 20 graphic novels for January of 2024. It's that time of month. It's that time of the month. You get to look through
It's
here.
that time of the month.
Guys, and you understand that this is during a period of which this was generated. We're over 125 stores using the Comic Hub system.
Right.
This was
That's
gathered
before
from a
I
very small,
launched, too, by
non-random
the way.
system. This was there's 3,000 stores selling American comics worldwide. This is 125 of them. So those 125 stores, this is what they rang up.
Mm-hmm.
Saga Volume 11, Mature
Image Comics.
hit
Cool.
number 1.
There you
Teenage
go.
Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Run in hardcover hit number 2 in January.
IDW.
Where the Body Was,
Huh?
Image Comics, number
There
3.
you go.
Something is Killing the
Killing
Children,
Children.
which is a cool story, by the way.
Boom
Boom
Studios.
Studios. World Tree, Volume 1, Image. Boom, number 5. Fahard and Grey Mouser, Omnibus.
Wow.
Dark Horse.
Dark
That's number
Horse,
6,
huh?
Star Wars. Death of Vader, Black and White and Red, Treasury Edition, comes in at number 7. It's all the way up to number 7 before Marvel hits the list.
Finally.
Chainsaw Man, Volume 13, comes in
Wait.
at number 8.
Wait a second, Luke. This is all American comics beating manga on January?
That's in these 125 stores. Yes,
Nice. Actually, that's good news.
that is good news.
Yeah. Oh,
That
this is awesome.
good news.
Oh.
That we have stories, but it's from these
Yeah.
these independent or more not mainstream publishers.
Not big two. Not
the
big two.
two. Not the big two, right?
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Last Run in Lost Years hardcover comes in at number 9. So IDW winning big with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now they have been able to maintain that property, so they're keeping it. So that's good news for them. Then DC versus Vampires comes in at number 10.
10. Okay, DC made
DC
it to the
made
first
it in there
10.
finally in
Yeah.
the top 10. But it's got to verse them vampires. I think if you do anything with werewolves, vampires,
Yeah.
universal monsters of any kind right now are really popular. I'm really looking forward to Wolf and Batsy.
Yeah.
That
But
looked
I
cool.
don't know. I have an unpopular poll that I made because it was like, personal research. But werewolves are more liked by heavy set people. And
really?
vampires, yeah. Like this is something I made through my friends. Like there's always like burly guys, and girls who tend to be heavier, like werewolves, and then like goth, spindly people like vampires.
The soft boys.
Yeah,
Vampires.
yeah, exactly.
So
Guys who wear like shirts with ruffles.
I'm going through watching old episodes of going through and watching the whole series of Law and Order: Criminal Intent. Love that show. And there was an episode with vampires, and I was like, these guys are so gay. Like, and sure enough, they were gaying each other.
Nice.
Like there was like this whole like gay vibe to it, and I was like, called it.
Obviously.
Obviously. All
Not
right, now by
surprised.
dollars earned, though.
Yeah.
By dollars earned. Marvel hits the list twice
There you go.
in the top 5. They hit the list twice because their ROM, the original Marvel Years Omnibus, comes in at a whopping $125 a book.
That's cool.
Who's got that kind of money? And number 4 comes in with the Devil's Reign Omnibus hardcover at $100 a book. And they've got another one at number 6, the Judgment Day Omnibus, for $125 a book. And then they've got one at 9, Daredevil, by Wade and Samney, $100 a book. These guys, these guys got some expensive books.
Yeah.
$100
all of these
for
are
a
here,
comic.
yeah.
But isn't this all like
Omnibus,
old
yeah.
stuff?
Well, these are
It's all
omnibus.
old stuff, yeah. Old stuff. yes.
Even
Collectible
still,
stuff, yeah.
what back in the day, you got like a Superman omnibus for what, like $20?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look at the hardcover for IDW, which would technically be
Hardcore.
they
Yeah.
omnibused it. It's
Omnibuy.
$30 there. Here's Invincible Compendium Volume 3.
$64.
Yeah.
Dang, that's
Yeah. Well, here's that omnibus is $30 there. Let me see. Yeah. So it's possible to omnibuy things without
I'm the
You should
boss.
do
Dang.
so. You should compile something like this for. I mean, Luke. Like Wolf and Batsy killing it. Blah
Mhm.
blah blah blah. Top fun my comment, whatever. Because man, you've got
Well,
some campaigns really
Rex, why don't I
smashing
put
it
you in
over on.
charge of that? Why don't you compile the list for me?
Yeah, I'll get. Yeah, I'll
I
get
just
right
gave
on
Rex a job. You see how that works?
So, yeah.
I know.
You
Yeah,
know,
and I'll
you know
hand
where I
it
learned
off
that
to somebody
trick?
else. It's called delegation.
Yeah, that's what it's
That's
called. You know where I learned that trick?
Redelegate to delegate.
I actually learned that from an old pastor friend of mine.
Nice.
If I
I
said, you know
know
what we should do?
I know you always get these suggestions, right?
Yeah, I said, you know what we should do? We should do that. I'm like, yeah. He goes, that's a great
Yeah.
idea. I think I'm going to put you in charge of that. You seem to be passionate
Right.
about it.
Yeah, I feel the passion, man.
Yeah. So then I had this one guy. He's like, I have ideas, but I'm not going to tell you what the ideas are.
Yeah.
And I was like, because you don't want me putting you in charge of them, right? And he goes, yep. All right. So same 125 stores out of the 3,000 that sell the U.S. comics. We're going to look at the top-ranked floppies, single issues. Look at that. Single issues. Spider-Man, the Ultimate Spider-Man #1 comes in at #1. Fall of the House of X comes in at #2. Marvel's dominating with the top 3 with Amazing Spider-Man #41 of Gang War. Look at that. Finally, Batman 141 comes in DC #4. Transformers #4. Transformers have been doing pretty good. Comes in at #5. Rise of the Powers of X #1. Marvel squeezes in there another one. Cobra Commander #1 by Image.
Dude, Image is making a killing, man.
They are. Image is coming back, baby.
Yeah.
Image is coming back.
over
Avengers
here.
Twilight #1 by Marvel comes in at 8. Ghost Machine One Shot by Image comes in at #9. Amazing Spider-Man #42 of Gang War. They have 2 of them come out that month. Marvel comes in at #10. Vengeance of Moon Knight at #11. Again, Marvel and DC are dominating this right now.
Yeah,
But again, BookScan is not really bringing in a lot of the other ones. Titan, Conan the Barbarian #6, squeezes in at #46 from Titan Comics. Now, Titan Comics, we recently just learned, got moved into the platinum section of the Diamond Previews book. So they are...
we're being corrected. We're being corrected by Comics Crusader. It's more so Skybound is killing it. More
right,
so
right, yes.
Yeah.
Right. In 2 weeks, we're gonna
Thank you,
have Al Mega on to talk about his work in comics, and he's had a much different perspective than most of our guests. He's been in comics journalism and promotion since I've came in on the scene. He was already doing it, and so I've known him for a while. He was one of the first people that gave me a shot to promote me in independent comics, and so he's got a great website called Comic Crusaders, and we're going to talk to him in 2 weeks. Got a list of questions for him. I think you guys are going to really enjoy that show. And if you have a project out there that you would like to promote, Rex, go to comiccrusaders.com and you can sign up. There's a little place where you can contact them in order to get some promotion on the website. And they do a podcast. And
Awesome.
everything. Yep, so definitely check him out. People are not utilizing that resource quite enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Welcome, John Douglas. Great to have you here with us this morning. And yes, I do agree that it would be Skybound that's killing it right now.
Yeah.
Really, the only true image property that's doing any good is Spawn. Spawn's always killing it.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get into the by dollars because I feel like that's stupid. For a floppy, let's do it by. We're going to do it by units sold.
By units sold, yeah.
Yeah, but of course, they don't give those numbers anymore. Yeah, the publishers are no longer providing the number of copies sold, which is
Wonder
sad.
why? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad. Oh, I don't have any wonder at all. I don't have any wonder at all on why they do that. It's quite clear, I believe. All right, this is a cool one right here. David McFarlane.
Gerardo Sandoval.
I knew you'd be able to say it.
Yeah, thank you.
It's got that Spanish in its mouth.
Yeah, that's
Team up for more Retro Venom. I like Retro Venom. Eddie
Okay,
Brock
yeah.
faces down new villain in upcoming limited series. So Venom co-creator David Michelini and artist Geraldo Sandoval.
Gerardo Sandoval.
We just need to clip every time I screw up someone's name. That would be an hour by itself.
Yeah, leave the Spanish to me, guys.
Yeah. Who teamed up for a series of backup stories in last year's Death of the Venomverse, are reuniting for a 5-issue retro Venom limited series where Venom's separation anxiety once again looks back at Venom's early days and brings in a new antagonist, Purple Man. That's fun. Nice. Who tortures Eddie Brock with his mind control powers as he tries to steal the symbiote piece by piece.
This sounds very interesting.
That does sound fun, right?
Yeah.
The first issue will be published on May 15th of 2024 with cover art by Paolo. So you go for it.
Paolo Siquiera.
There you go. Separation anxiety as the required theme. The problem became how to do something that's already been done. Have Eddie Brock separated from his symbiote Michelini said in a statement accompanying the announcement. So I thought, what if there was a deeply creepy villain with a decidedly bloodthirsty agenda who is able to take bits of venom of Eddie's symbiote away every time the two touched, with that enemy slowly growing stronger as Venom slowly grew weaker. I like that premise.
Yeah.
And that was the nugget that became the King in Purple.
Dude, the things like the Purple Man is such a creepy villain.
Purple Man.
Yeah, because he just like enslaves people. Like, I don't know, like whenever I read stories by him, I felt like I needed a shower. Yeah, it's just ugh.
I'm not 100%
I can provide a shower right back here, Pedro.
Oh yeah, I know you do.
Skybound Rocks, Ghost Pedro. Machine was a letdown.
I'm not 100% sold on the premise here because it looks, based on what I'm like the small elements of what I'm reading here, it could be a very, very woke book.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. The stuff he did before wasn't very woke. See, here's the problem. I think that people are like a beat dog. We've been hit with so much woke so much that we just expect woke every time they lift their hand, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that everything is like I'm trying to really have a more positive mindset when I look at some of these comics, that they're not going to default to woke bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. Pardon the language.
Yeah, it's all right. I love the fact that we're with dogs. Yeah,
I think Hojo's with me on that. Jesus whiskey.
Jesus whiskey.
Just gonna be, yeah.
No, I mean, like, I'm not familiar with the author, so I don't know any of his previous work. But there is some stuff. I mean, the idea of separation anxiety just kind of is where I'm thinking
I kind of see your point, whiskey. I kind of see your point.
And then Purple Man being used as a villain could also.
The thing is, like, a lot of people, like, their introduction to Purple Man was that Netflix Marvel series.
Right.
So,
yep. And that was creepy because
that was
Netflix. But Netflix screws everything up. Right? So
right.
Well, not everything. They screw most things up, okay? But
the Punisher was awesome. And so was Daredevil.
I'm going into it with optimism. Okay. We'll see when it happens. I'm not just gonna pull out the band bullets and start shooting right now. I'm gonna give it a shot. We're gonna see what happens with it. Brian Boland's Judge Dredd returns via paperback.
Cool.
This is cool with new Masterpiece Edition. This is really, really cool. Rebellion Publishing will release Judge Dredd by Brian Boland's Masterpiece Edition paperback into retail on June 18th. I am going to be there for that. Brian Boland's work on Judge Dredd story arcs, such as The Cursed Earth, Judge Death Lives, and The Day the Law Died, helped spearhead the late 80s British invasion of comics. Now, Boland's artwork can be appreciated all over again with Rebellion Publishing's new Judge Dredd by Brian Boland Masterpiece Edition. The Masterpiece Edition is a paperback reprint of the sold-out Judge Dredd by Brian Boland's Apex Edition. That includes more original pages from epic Judge Dredd stories. The extra pages included are Star-Lord annual cover. Prague 77, page 1. Prague 86, page 6. Prague 96, page 2. Prague 120, page 3. Prague 225 cover. Prague 225, page 3. Cursed Earth Book 1 illustration. Judge Child Quest Eagle Comics reprint, issue 2 cover. Revolver Romance special cover. Ooh, nice. Prague 2000 Tharg page. And the Prague 2270 cover. This edition will retail at just $37.99. Shut up and take my money.
Dude, I'm going to get this book and blast Anthrax. I Am the Law on repeat.
Holy cow. Yes.
Yes.
I am the law.
I'm going to go out and buy some more.
Okay.
And I think you should too.
How many pages are they looking at there?
A bunch.
Know?
There's a bunch of pages, yeah.
The bunch. Yeah, I believe the
out of the top of my head.
Official page count on that is a bunch.
Yeah.
So
out of the top of my head, we can really tell, but yeah.
Not quite $100.
Russ Leach has the Apex edition.
There you go.
Huge and awesome. It's
yeah, rub it in, Russ.
It's gonna be a beautiful, huge book.
Huge.
And we're gonna make Marvel pay for it.
So big.
So this
Elon
is
Mudd, welcome.
Hey, what's
up,
up,
everyone?
Elon?
It's good to see you here today.
So this is reasonably priced and excellent content, not $100 for the book.
Right, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be reading on this book for probably weeks, if not months.
Yeah, for weeks, and you're going to be going back. You'll be going back to that book for references.
It's great, and you'll just enjoy the art. Just looking through his, I mean, I believe this is black and white.
Yeah.
All the original stuff is black and white, pen and ink, and some of the most amazing line work you've ever seen. And here, I'll just show you.
Oh yeah, please, dude. Look at the lighting on that one, man.
Holy crap, that's amazing.
Holy moly!
There we go.
Wow. Respect the badge.
Beautiful work. Look at that. Cross hatching and lighting.
You're a fucking animal.
This is how you do it, man. This is how you do it.
Because in Mega City, I am the law.
Oh, look at these
cars
in there. Look at that.
The texture on the background, man.
Oh, so good. So
it's
good.
Really good. Oof.
That's some crazy hair. That's what I look like in the morning.
Yeah. Oh, that's so 80s. There's just like punk rock, like going to a Sex Pistols concert.
See, this is where I learned how to do the hand against the window thing.
Oh yeah.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. I love comic books, and this is definitely a reason to get excited. You excited about this one, Rex?
Yeah, dude. That's the thing. Whichever actor they pick to play Judge Dredd, he needs to have a chin. Look at that.
I might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually like.
Yeah, I mean, quality Eagle Comics back in the 80s, the floppies, the 2000 AD that we never really got over here very much. I mean, you had Brian Boland, you had Dave Gibbons, so many great UK artists like Russ Leach, who was out in the chat, and Glenn Fleming. We never heard of because we didn't get much of them over here. But of course, Boland, he makes such a big impact.
Look at that. First time around, he got the 2000 AD. That is awesome. I'll be fair with you. One of the books I'm looking forward to most is the book that Russ is working on with Randy. That launches in March, I believe, and it's the kind of work that we need in comic books right now.
I mean, Luke, do you think that IDW? I changed the subject, but I'm going to. Do you think IDW does this bode well for them? They made quarterly profit because they've been in the hole for millions and millions. I mean, at one point. Over $60 million.
Yeah, I think this is good for them. I do. Your mic's cutting in and out a little bit there, Rex. I don't know what's going on there.
Watch out.
Sorry about that.
You're a little choppy.
Or your throat.
Like talking to a fan or something.
Plug it in
So IDW shows quarterly profits, but loses 4.9 million.
It's like financial musical chairs.
Yeah. Welcome, Roland. Welcome to the show. We got Roland down there at the
Hey.
bottom, popping
Morning,
in,
sir.
getting his audio in his ears.
I didn't have my ears on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Welcome, Roland. It's good to have you this morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, we're gonna let's keep going here with the news just a little bit, and we'll get your opinion on these things. And you've got some insight with some of this stuff, so should be great to hear your opinion. And then we've got some questions. I've got some questions. We're gonna learn a little
Sweet.
bit about you today, kind of where you're at and what you're doing.
Cool.
Kind of where you've been, and I don't know how often you get to. I know you've checked out the show a couple of times, but
Yeah.
But we really like to talk about the art of making comics and the business of selling those comics to amazing fans.
Well, I love making comics, so I like talking about it.
Yeah. So check this out. I don't know if you heard this, but IDW shows quarterly profits, but loses $4.9 million for the fiscal year. So last year they lost quite a bit, but they are seeing some profits. IDW Media Holdings made money in fiscal quarter 4, ending October 31st of 2023, but lost $4.9 million in its full fiscal year. According to company financial reports, the fiscal quarter 4 profit was $496,000, up from $353,000 profits of the year ago period. That's not bad, but especially not for your last quarter. I don't know. That's kind of rough. The fiscal year loss was up substantially to $4.93 million from a $748,000 loss in the fiscal year ending in October 31st. So that's 2 years with a loss. Man, doing the math on that, that's well over $5 million in loss, right? Or close to $5 million. Yeah, it's over $5 million in loss.
Must be fun to be at those board meetings.
Yeah.
Ooh, so Roland, you worked for Malibu.
Right.
Now, what was your role at Malibu?
I started off as an editor, and then I moved up to line editor, and then when Marvel bought us, I became a managing editor.
Okay. So you were a part of these board meetings, probably, right? With the money, making money, losing money.
Some of them, yeah. Yep.
So what do you think the atmosphere and mood in IDW's board meetings are right now?
Oh, I can tell you, everybody's probably scared for their job. So everyone is probably, the people working there are probably trying to not mess up, and they're trying to fail less.
Fail upwards.
Fail less. Let's fail less.
Yeah, because a lot of times, of course, when I first went on to Malibu, that was when Image was there, and lots of money, right? And then, of course, wasn't long after that, then the industry began to crash. So I saw those kinds of meetings as well, where it's like, okay, we were making a whole bunch of money, and now we're not. And so what do we do? And so what happens a lot of times is that you just kind of throw anything against the wall to see if something will stick. And you're almost, these guys are going for 2 years operating in a loss like this. They're almost in panic mode, I would say.
You know what this needs, Luke?
What's that?
The
Doom and gloom.
doom and gloom in the background. Yes.
Let me see what.
Let's just keep on talking and let's just play doom and gloom.
I got a line of question that kind of goes, what are the people that should be fired during these situations? How do they keep their jobs? Like, how do they stick to the wall, just like what should stick to the wall or whatever?
That's a good question. There were people
under the bus, maybe.
I think sometimes people that you think, oh, this person should be fired, when you're looking at it from the outside, on the inside, they are often, nearly and dearly loved. Everyone in the company loves them. It's like, oh no, we think they're doing a good job because they're so nice. And so the view from inside is a lot different from the outside, if that makes any sense. And I don't know if you didn't mention anybody specifically, so that's just kind of a generic, generic view of it. But yeah, sometimes on the inside, it's like, this person is doing everything we're asking them to do. So
make it more specific, like the Kathleen Kennedy types, not necessarily the HR department dropouts. You know what I'm getting at here, right? How do they keep their jobs when the chopping block is coming down, when they probably should be the ones that are causing these incidents in most cases?
Some of it depends on corporate structure, I would say. I know that when the Marvel purchase happened for us, so there was a guy in charge. I'm trying to remember his name. Terry Stewart. All right, so Terry Stewart was the guy in charge of Marvel at the time, and this was shortly after Marvel went public. And so what Marvel started doing at the time was buying companies, right? So Terry Stewart went around saying, "Hey, look, I am growing the company. I am purchasing this. Look, we bought this company. We bought this. We bought that." And even though they weren't really turning a profit, what he was showing to the stockholders is like, "I'm growing the company. Can't you see? I'm adding all these things." A couple years later, right, what happens is none of that pans out, so they fire Terry Stewart, bring on and how many of you guys know Terry Stewart's name?
I don't know.
Yeah, see, no one knows Terry Stewart's name because he was one of the corporate suits, right? Mm-hmm. And so they bring in another corporate suit, and what does he do immediately? He's got to undo the stuff that the last corporate suit did. So he starts saying, "Okay, look, we don't need Heroes World. We don't need Malibu Comics. I'm cutting the chaff now. This other guy bought all this stuff. I'm cutting it, trying to streamline us and make us more profitable." So, so a lot of times it comes down to where they are in the corporate ladder, because none of that ever affected me, right? It was like, I'm just going to keep putting out the comics that I'm putting out. We're going to try to keep making them the very best that we possibly can. And it was all the stuff happening above me,
Wow. So, and I mean, some people would speculate that part of that acquisition period was to grab up the IPs that they thought were profitable, that could make them some money, obviously.
Well, I think the real motivating factor for Marvel, the purchase of Malibu anyway, was to just keep us away from DC. DC had already made an offer, and DC had been courting Malibu for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, something like that, a considerable amount of time. And when Marvel got wind of it, they're like, "Yeah, we can't let that happen," because Malibu's market share at the time was third or fourth, depending on what Dark Horse did that month. If Dark Horse did Alien or Predators, then we were fourth. But if they didn't do Alien or Predators, we were third. And so had you added our market share to the DC market share, that would have put DC solidly above Marvel. And Marvel was like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to allow that to happen."
Oh, yeah.
So
Definitely.
it was really just corporate maneuvering.
Eliminating competition, yeah. As Elon says there, yeah, that's crazy. So the fiscal year losses was, we read that already.
Yeah.
Sales in the publishing segment were up year over year to $26.6 million in fiscal 2023 from $25.8 million in fiscal 2022, largely due to growth in sales of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. Sales in the entertainment segment dropped to near zero, $64,000 in fiscal 2023, down from $10.3 million in fiscal 2022. Wow, that is... Wow, 64,000 is crowdfunding numbers. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Wow, that's bad. Company-wide revenues reflected the drop in entertainment sales, down to $26.7 million from $36.1 million. That is hard.
That's a cliff.
Yep.
Yeah.
IDW has begun allocating more of its expenses to unallocated corporate expenses, making the losses by segment not comparable to the previous year.
It's almost kind of like the Roadrunner, if you think about it, like a Wile E. Coyote. He's just run out, and then there's no longer any ground there.
Yeah.
Cash flow is obviously concerned with losses that size, but the company said in its annual report that it expects to be able to fund its operations from its current cash balance of $3.6 million at the end of the fiscal year. That's down from $10 million in cash at the end of October 2022. A bigger drop than the loss due to growth in finished books, inventory, and accounts receivable. I remember reporting on this a year ago that they still had $10 million in cash after their losses for that year. So seeing that number go down to 3.6, that is, I believe you're right, Roland. I believe they're probably in panic mode.
Yeah, I would say so.
I can't imagine any other scenario. The company said that it expects to generate positive operating cash flow at an unspecified future point due to the operating expense changes it made in 2023. IDW cut staff in April. They took out about 39% of their staff they cut out. And its employee count remained down substantially at the October 31 annual report cutoff. 47 full-time employees in 2023 compared to 84 employees on the same date in 2022.
Now, here's the thing I'll add to that. So from the outside looking in, these are just numbers, right? But if you're inside, you got to think, well, you've lost nearly half your employees. What does that mean to you as an employee? It means that somehow, some way, somebody has piled more work on you, right?
Yeah.
So in addition to the job that you were doing, you now have somebody else's job, have somebody else's responsibilities because they fired so many people, right?
And for the same money.
Yeah, for the same money. And again, that adds to that whole panic feeling. It's like I'm overburdened. You're already overworking me, and now you're giving me more work, and you're not paying me more money, and you're probably just going to lay me off next month anyway.
Right.
You know.
And some people would argue that they inflated the staff, and that nobody was really doing a full-time staff's job. That they were just kind of, there was too much fat on the whole thing, and they needed to trim it back. That a lot of these companies are actually hiring more staff than what really is required to do the job. So when you were, running Malibu,
yeah,
what kind of staff are you guys working with? Like,
I found out the other day for the first time at its largest, Malibu Comics was at 165 employees.
Wow.
At its largest. Now you have to keep in mind we had a whole production staff, right? I want to say 100 of those were probably colorists, because at that time we had, I don't remember how many computers we had, but I'm going to say at least, let's say we had 25 devoted to it's probably more than that, but at least 25 devoted to colorist full time. We ran 3 shifts on those computers, right? So we ran a morning shift, an evening shift, and a graveyard shift. And so those computers were running nonstop with a colorist at the helm. So
I have a question though.
Okay.
How big was the HR department?
I only remember one person.
Exactly, because that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, like maybe those 84 employees at IDW was mostly HR or like DEI relations or stuff like that. Like maybe they got rid of that, but I mean,
I don't
who
know.
would know if we're not in
man.
there, right?
Could you imagine
I don't
having to
know.
run a studio now with DEI stuff going on?
Oh my goodness.
Shoot me. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be looking at, because you were touched on it earlier, I think a lot of people would be looking at the Elon Musk situation with Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, and seeing what they can cut in that particular department and have the company run. But not every company is structured in that way.
Yeah.
Twitter was a huge company, and they had like juice bars and yoga struggle sessions.
You need employees for that too. Like you got the guy who's serving the juice and the Thai chef and the guy at the rooftop with the DJ.
We don't need a DJ.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and can them.
The rooftop
and it's like, and
bar.
it turns out we don't need 75 people combing through to censor your post. So let's go ahead and get rid of those people.
Right.
It's
comic
crazy.
book companies got to be slightly different though in structure.
sure
So
it
Probably, yeah.
I'm certain it is. Here he is. Also, I have a question. I remember hearing the reason Image courted Malibu was to get their hands on the colorist. Is that true?
No, not true. Image already had all their own colorist. Image. So the reason the bottom line, the reason is the Image went with Malibu is because Rob Liefeld had a previously established relationship with the Malibu publisher Dave Olbrich. It went back to before Rob got to be popular at Marvel. I mean, Dave and Rob knew each other from Rob's early career, and once the founders got together, kind of the wind of it kind of got around. Dave approached Rob and said, "Hey, if you guys need any help, we already have the structure." And Rob said, "Hey, that would be great. We know how to make the books, but we don't have any of that structure in place." And so, I don't hold me to this exactly, but I think Malibu's official title with Image was the publisher of record. And if you look back, Malibu only published the first 10 months of Image. And what this did, this gave Image the opportunity to produce their books. And in that period of time, they hired their own staff. They're like, okay, we can't stop making comics because we got to keep the money coming in, right? And so, so they just went with Malibu so that Image could have time to hire their own staff.
Well, it was a smart move for them.
Oh yeah.
Smart move for them. Yeah. What was it like working with some of those heavy hitters?
Most of them pretty nice. Rob is probably one that I kind of interacted the most with because he was buddies with Hank Knaltz, who was also at Malibu, and he was just a real down to earth guy, kind of guy that loved making comics, got a lot of energy. I do remember the first time I ever met Todd, though. I'm like, "Dadgum," I didn't say this out loud. I'm like, "Dadgum, you're a whole lot shorter than I thought you were."
That happens often.
Short people are funny.
Most of the time, I only interact with people on these streams now.
Right.
So like when we go to, when we meet people in person, I'm like, "Wow, you're a lot shorter," and people are like, "Wow, you're a lot taller than I thought you were going to be."
Right. Mark Silvestri is a giant. Mark Silvestri, I want to say he's like 6'5" or something like that.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. He's a tall guy.
Yeah, and he's a gym rat too, and he works out a lot. Like Graham Nolan. Graham Nolan's another guy that works out.
Yeah, dude. Huge.
Yeah. I have never had that physique. Well, I take that back. I did for a minute in high school. And now I'm like, I'm more.
He can pound that bacon.
I can pound that bacon.
I have all kinds of muscle, guys. That's what I tell her. I am made of muscle. I'm made of table muscle.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm built up like an NBA player, but without the talent. So
yeah. He said pound that bacon.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's funny. Comic Books for Kids announces a 2024 event unveils new variant covers for Superman number 9. For the second year in a row, Comic Books for Kids, CB4K, has teamed up with DC for a special edition of Superman number 39, with 2 new covers by Laura Braga and Sean McManus. For 2024, the comic will not be available for sale, but retailers who sponsored the Comic Books for Kids and Comic Books for Troops events in 2024 will get a small allocation of the 2024 Comic Book for Kids weekend. I lost my place. Scheduled for March 1 through 3, 2024 in the U.S. and U.K. In the comic book by Pete Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, Superman and the Justice League visit a children's cancer center and take the kids on a scavenger hunt and a trip to the moon. It was originally published in 2018, and CB4K teamed up with DC for the first time in 2023 to create a special edition just for the charity. Here's a little quote for you. "We continue to be honored and appreciative in having yet again this opportunity to connect DC to the kids we work with, said CB4K founder and president Mark Weiss. In a statement accompanying the announcement, presenting iconic characters such as Superman and the Justice League to the children in hospitals and cancer centers will certainly add smiles and help alleviate stress and anxiety. It's nice that they're doing stuff for kids, comic books.
Okay, I know we're trying to keep like a positive outlook, but I sincerely hope there's nothing dirty in that book.
Yeah,
And
Right.
And it's not like that book by Marvel, like like the Jab Adventure, like go vaccinate yourself. Remember that? That was so
Right.
much fun.
So when you were working under Marvel, did they have you do any propaganda pieces? You know what I'm talking about, like the Spider-Man trying to get his friend not to smoke or something like that.
How dare you?
No, we didn't have any of that. At least not that I can recall. You got to remember this was back in the 90s as well. Let's see. We did, and I didn't have anything to do with it, but as a company, we did a flood relief. There was a flood somewhere. I can't even remember where it was, and we did a flood relief comic book that had had Prime on it. All the proceeds went to the flood victims. We did something else, but I can't remember what it was.
I mean, the '90s was big on the Just Say No thing with Punky Brewster and Tipper Gore. So
yeah,
did you take part in any of that?
No, I don't remember. I don't remember doing any of that. And in fact, I actually wrote a Lita Ford comic
Nice.
in which the villain was Libby Snore.
Nice. Wow.
Oh. Yeah.
Most of that stuff didn't start happening until post 1995, anyways.
Yeah. Just Say No was early '90s. His Punky Brewster was a show from the '80s.
Yeah, they
The
still
other
had
propaganda stuff.
They still had propaganda pieces. The funny thing is, as a young, I was, a teenager in the '90s, so I would buy these books. I knew when it was a propaganda piece. I just ignored it.
Yeah.
I bought something else. They got to do a job. Those organizations, they come in, they pay. They're all.
I was going to say a lot of times they get money for these. Some organization comes in and says, "Hey, we want to make a comic book that helps this, and can you do it?" And what
our budget
some
is
people,
this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so what happens is the creators get paid a fee still, right? But there's often there's no royalties or anything like that. They're like, "Hey, we're going to go print. Here's your page rate. We're going to go print 1 million copies and give them all away and blah, blah, blah." But they still get paid to do the work, right?
Yeah. Well, I once got hit with an ecological comic book.
Yeah. Captain Planet or something like that.
It was like Branch Man, but dude, I was drawing tentacle porn. And I was telling the guys who were paying me, like, "Dude, these looks like tentacle porn." Like, "No, it's branches." Like,
it's
okay,
branches.
You're paying me.
Okay, it's branch porn.
Yeah. Yeah, that was horrible.
Well, they had a similar thing with DC in one of their covers.
I don't know if they wanted money or they wanted something more sexual.
Yep.
They had to redo the Swamp Thing cover because it looked very phallic, in a strategic place for the female.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Branch Man.
It's all
Branch
funny.
Man.
It's all funny, these things. So now, primarily as a hired gun, some days you draw what you have to.
Yep.
It's like okay.
We're talking about tentacle porn, and Luke goes
I don't draw tentacle porn.
No.
But I mean, as far as if somebody's like, "Hey, I want to draw. I want you to make. I have this comic I want to make about agriculture." Well, guess what? I guess I'm doing a book about agriculture this month. Because it happens. You read through it. If it's a decent book, you're like, "Yeah, okay." And sometimes you weigh out the paycheck with the message and stuff like that.
Sorry.
You have to do it. I mean, eventually you're paying the bills. I mean, that's what comes down to.
Once I did a campaign for against cholera, and the antagonist was called Diarrhea Kid.
Wow.
Oh my god, my life sucks.
Tentacle porn and Diarrhea Kid.
Yeah. Sorry.
I do. Do you remember the All-Star character, whatever his name was, the football player?
Which one?
You know, that looked like the
Deion
NFL.
Sanders? Deion
No, he
Sanders?
had the
Deion
he was just some
Sanders.
crime fighter dressed up like the NFL.
Oh.
Like it was
Doesn't
like very
ring a bell.
generic like that, like NFL,
The-
like football.
The Marvel book, Kickers?
something like that. I can't remember what
Yeah.
it was, but it was
Kickers Incorporated or something like
it
that.
was lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I
very
mean,
lame, very lame.
Not lamer than Diarrhea Kid, but yeah, that can be lame.
Todd McFarlane did an anti-drug book in the '90s, and I have a French translation of it. There you go.
That's
And
kinda
I was
cool.
all about the, what was funny was some of my classmates learned more about drugs in the DARE class than
Yeah.
they'd ever heard of or ever would have known.
Yeah.
My wife being one of those, she's like, everything I know about drugs is from DARE. I'm like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, at
Welcome,
some
Frederick.
point,
It's good to have you here this morning. Also, Hicks Villain has joined us. Welcome, Hicks Villain. Who else do we got going on here? Past Master Dan has joined us. Welcome, Past Master Dan.
hey, what's up,
It's good to have
Bass?
you here.
Mike Miller, yeah, he's
Glenn and
short.
Monsterland, yeah.
You know, with the Reagan agenda in the 80s, you had two Teen Titans. One of them I know, drawn by George Perez, I believe. Just Say No to Drugs issues that were wildly popular, promo books. And
Yep.
people were like, yeah, I'm going to pick that up because New Teen Titans was one of the hottest things with George Perez and Marv Wolfman writing. And they capitalized on that at the time. And plus, it was kind of Teen Titans, right? Teen Titans.
Yeah. I mean, and it's George Perez.
a younger age group.
Yeah.
And collectors wanted to pick it up because they, thought, well, this is going to be collectible. And I think you can find it in the dollar bin just about,
Rex, your
today.
mic is, Rex, your mics is very staticky.
Clickety.
Cutting in and out.
Okay. All right.
Russ says, Luke, that's what makes a professional, doing the job in front of you and not letting creative off days affect your output. Yeah, you can't.
Exactly.
There's days you just gotta do what you gotta do. Yeah. Oh, check this out. So CGC files suit against 2 former employees alleging theft and label swapping. Whoa, that's a big deal. So CGC's been having a lot of issues finding out that people are able to crack open those cases, swap out books, and seal them like nothing's ever changed. What is your thoughts, Roland, on this whole slabbing comics trend?
Oh, you don't want to know my thoughts.
Oh, I
Yeah,
do.
we do, sir.
That's why I asked.
I can't stand them. Comic books are meant to be read and opened and enjoyed. And when you put them inside a tomb like that, no one's ever going to enjoy them again. And
I like the definition of tomb.
I hate that. Now look, I understand protecting them. Don't get me wrong. Don't mishear me. I think you ought to protect them, protect your treasures. But man, when you put them in those plastic tombs, it's just like, come on, what's the point? I don't truly get that. I love one of my favorite retailers is his name is Dr. Nose in Atlanta, Georgia. What is his name? Cliff Biggers, and he posted not too long ago that anytime he gets a slab book, he immediately cracks it open. And I'm like, man, I love that. I mean, I guess I'm not hating on the retailers who sell them, because as we talked about as a freelancer, right? You got to do what you got to do when it's time to make the money. But I am not a fan. I don't own a single slab book. Not a one.
How dare you?
The collect. Oh, go ahead, Whiskey.
In some cases, they obviously exist to help protect history, right? Like there's an element there of preservation of like certain pieces that should be kept in pristine condition for posterity's sake. But that's my only. I more or less agree with you.
So I've been in the DC vault and had. I didn't put my actual fingers on it, but I've been able to touch what is it, Detective Comics 27 and Action #1, I think, in that first Batman, first Superman. Is that right? Those numbers right?
Yes.
And they look just fine to me, and neither one of those were slabbed. But they were certainly in they were in a vault. It was a legit vault. So there was no weather, no sunlight, none of that kind of stuff.
Well, if you had a 65 Mustang, and you drove it for the last 30 years, or let's say, you kept it in good shape, but which would you rather have, that or one that occasionally and had maybe under 40,000 miles on it? I mean, it's all about condition, no matter what. If we're talking coins, cards, comics, it's all about condition.
Yeah, but you don't buy those classic cars to sit in a garage and just
exactly. You wouldn't just put it up on a pedestal or encase it in a tomb.
When one is found, like a warehouse find, just like in comics, and they're in pristine mint condition and they're 50 years old, people will. I mean, if they're key issues, especially, will pay top dollar for it.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the Mile High collection and the Mile High collection other prestigious collections.
I mean, I think it's a special kind of customer that really enjoys knowing that he has like a piece of history encased.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's
that's not me.
No. I think it's the collector's market, the speculators market.
I
mean, that killed comics in the 90s. Let's be fair. Let's be real honest. When they started overprinting books like The Death of Superman and stuff like that, like where the whole thing that made comic collecting so amazing was the scarcity. Of it,
Well, I think one thing, I mean, it's a multi-pronged question because distribution really through Diamond Capital before that hadn't really changed the retail market. That killed off the distribution of the newsstands, the spinner racks, the pharmacies, the groceries. It's a multiple reason why things happen. Yes, definitely the speculator market, but everybody's feeding into that because we were selling millions of comics, which hadn't been seen probably since Dale did it in the early 60s was the last time we seen title go over.
I don't want to sound like a misogynist, but I read somewhere that it was a lady in Marvel that killed the newsstand. Is that true? Like, I don't know. Like, I read it somewhere.
A lady did what?
A lady killed the newsstand and the comic books at 7-Eleven and the grocery stores. It's like, no, let's just focus on comic shops.
I don't know who did it, but within 5 years, they were starting to lose ground. In 1987, they were about newsstand comics were about 38%. By the end of the 80s, they were about 10% of the run. As the 90s went along, by the end of the 90s and the start of 2000, we're talking 1%.
It is. I got to be completely open with you guys. When that happened, comics became a mystery in South America.
Yeah, you could
that's
not.
how we used to get them.
A child could not go into a pharmacy, a grocery, a different store,
or a 7-Eleven, dude.
There was a 7-Eleven and stumble upon something greater than themselves.
I remember, guys. That was. Let's point the finger where it belongs. That was Diamond.
There you go.
Diamond killed all the other distributors by making the publisher sign exclusives with them.
Right.
And they focused on the comic shop, on the retailer, which was the direct market, which was not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But because the direct market was doing so well, they ignored newsstands. And now we're kind of
and that's the thing. Like where I live, if you love comics and you want comics, you really have to love comics. You have to import them. And that's a snag. So that's like how you lost market share. I remember when I was in school, I would go in school uniform to the 7-Eleven right in front of my school and get X-Men, get Superman, get Spider-Man, it wasn't like if I wanted back issues, I was dead. Just, I mean, you need a comic book shop for that. But I could get access to comic books and then order the comic books I was missing by money order. That's how comic book fans operated here. But what happens now is that kids don't get to see comic books. If they see their comic books, it's comic books that belong to their fathers, and that's how they become fans. And that's something that, I don't know, Diamond.
Let's go back to the topic here. When you slab them, those kids aren't going to be able to read those comics either.
That's right. Nope.
So CGC filed a lawsuit filed suit against 2 former employees last week, alleging comic thefts and label swapping, which comes in the wake of holder tampering issues that also involved collectors being sold books with CGC labels that showed higher grades than actually deserved. That kind of goes to
I mean, there's
where was
I
that
mean,
comment?
books are to be read. I get it, but also I agree with Chuck Rosansky from Mile High Comics. If you have a key issue, you're leaving money on the table on resale. A book that could sell on the raw for $200, you get it slabbed, it could sell for $1,000. Why would you want to do that as a collector? For the principle that I'm never going to slab. So okay, fine.
Well,
Somebody else will, and they will.
It's not the collector; it's the retailer.
Yeah.
It's the people selling and making the money that care whether or not they sell it for a few $100s versus $1,000.
Yeah.
Most real collectors don't really care about the slabbing so much. I think it's something that we've been fed, like it's this line that we've been fed, and they marketed it very well and they sold it very well. People said, "Oh, Luke, you should slab some of your books." I have had the opportunity to slab my own personal books, and I've kind of given it the finger because I want people to read it. Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter if that book resells for $1,000 later. I made $6 off of it. That's what I made, right?
Right.
I'm not seeing any more of that money, so it doesn't behoove me to slab the book.
And you would be better off taking that $6 and reinvesting it.
Slabbing is a dealer's market. It doesn't benefit the fans, in my opinion.
Right.
It doesn't.
Right.
And right now what we're seeing is that it's even for like this where it says the point, I think, is when you slab a book, a retailer can't BS you on the value. Well, the truth is people have gotten BS'd on the value. Yeah. They've been sold a book that they said, this is the value of it. This is what it's graded at. But that's not even what it is inside. That's not what it is. They've swapped it out because they're able to do that. I think this has killed the trust of the slabbing industry. And I think you're going to see more and more people pull away from it. And they're realizing, I don't need to spend $1,000 for a slabbed copy of a key issue when I could get it for $700 or $500 and enjoy it and still know what kind of condition it's in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Then I can actually see what condition it's in. Not
anytime you have counterfeiting. Anytime you have counterfeiting, it like with the early Ninja Turtles, that was an issue. It's going to hurt the market all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I would ever have any of my keys slabbed unless I saw them slab it.
Right.
It's like I'm not mailing my book to you to have you take it and go do something and then send it back to. No, I'm not. I'm just not going to do that. Right. If you've got your press or however they do it, right. If you've got your press right there, and it was something I wanted to do. I'm like, okay, here's my $50. I don't know how much it costs a slab. Here's my $50. I'm going to watch you slab my comic, right. So that I know that that's my comic that I have.
Right.
Almost like a signature series where they're there to witness it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Glenn Fleming says I have books signed by Kirby on the inside. Yeah. If I
got a Stanley's comic signed on page 1.
Right. You want to be able to open that and say, look, and smell it. Oh my God, the smell of those old newsprint books. Yeah. I've literally got my hair on my arm is standing up right now, thinking about the history and the beauty of it. Yeah. We do this because we love comic books. Like that's it. We love this stuff. And I don't know. I just
And this has led to cleaning of books, which I'm not opposed to, or pressing of books. But there's certain like file copies that actually have the impression of where the paper clip was, where other thing was tacked to that book for a while in the file. And I would never press that out. That's part of the history of that file copy that was kept at DC. I would never press that out flat. It adds to the providence and the character of the piece.
A couple things here in pop culture going on right now. Netflix unveiled its 2024 film and series streaming slate. Highlights of the film slate include Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2.
Oh, goody.
The Scargiver. I've heard that was okay.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't?
No.
Then we got Damsel starring Millie Bobby Brown. She is one popular lady right now.
Yeah.
And then Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie.
SpongeBob. Yeah.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, I want to see
Cannot
that
wait
one.
for that one.
Yeah, I want to
That
see
one.
that one.
How about you, Roland? You looking forward to that SpongeBob movie?
I do. You know what? I like SpongeBob.
We all do, dude.
Particularly the I forget the director, but the older the first seasons.
Yeah.
Those are just modern day Bugs Bunny, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're
was
doing
wild.
the Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Scrat is I would argue, the new Warner Brothers type character that, that's come out in the last 20 years. That
What is that?
Scrat with the acorn, from Ice Age is probably the greatest character they've
Oh, okay.
come
Yeah,
out
yeah.
with. Yeah.
I didn't know that was what his name was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys know, Carl Weathers passed away on February 1st this
bummer.
year. He was best known as Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies, as well as co-starring alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. Love that movie. More recently, he was known by Star Wars fans as bounty hunter Agent Greef Karga in The Mandalorian. He was 76 years old. Way too young to deploy.
Yeah, he was young. Yeah.
Way too young.
Well, he
Universal
climbed in the
Pictures.
ring with Rocky. You don't live long after that.
Right. Well, actually, it wasn't Rocky that killed him. It was Dolph Lundgren.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. So Dolph Lundgren was in the new
He-Man?
Aquaman movie,
Oh.
right? So we went
Yeah.
and we watched that for my mother-in-law's birthday. She's a big Momoa fan, right? Of course, all women are.
Yeah.
And the man oozes masculinity, and that translates to sexuality to a lot of women these days. It always has, I think. It always has. Unfortunately, there's a lot of soft boys, and so in a world full of soft boys, a mimosa, not a mimosa, a Momoa. Mimosa. I like mimosas too. But
that's kind of soft.
Yeah, but so Jason does.
Yeah, dude. The thing is,
he gets a lot of looks these days.
I think the ladies in the near future are gonna go for the Cro-Magnon look. They want to stab
full-on
it.
caveman. Big foreheads, protruding lower jaw.
He's so sensitive.
The knuckles drag the ground.
Yeah.
Strong hands. I love him.
Oh my God! Look at
He's
him jumping that
misunderstood.
wood.
I think I can fix him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can fix him. He loves me.
Flat rabbit.
We'll clean him up, right? Universal Pictures announced a release date for the Dogman movie. I knew this had to be coming.
Yeah.
Dogman has been doing amazing in the book sales. So the movie, based on the smash hit kids book series by Dan Pilkey, is scheduled to hit theaters on January 31st of 2025.
I think they took too long to make this movie.
I don't think it's gonna matter, bub.
Yeah,
I think that movie is gonna.
Yeah, it's gonna
do great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Burton is gonna be the director of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman remake.
Oh,
another remake we didn't ask for.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
He boy.
This is interesting though. The Gone Girl writer Gillian Flynn is writing the movie. I don't know if you saw Gone Girl.
That was horrible.
That was
a nightmare.
You didn't like that movie?
It was really good, but it's every man's nightmare.
That's what. Okay, yeah. I wanted to clarify. The movie was amazing, but it was psychologically broke my brain.
Yeah.
Very few times is there a story that comes along that's that good, where it's like, holy crap, this is just. Dude. And poor Neil Patrick Harris in that movie.
Dude, man, I looked at my wife funny for months after that movie.
It's always weird when the psycho in the movie, like obviously he's a weirdo, like stalker psycho, and you feel bad for that person. If they can make you feel bad for that person, they've done something, and that's Gone Girl. So I'm looking forward to that. So if that's the writer, I love Tim Burton movies. I'll give it a shot. It's not a remake I asked for.
Yeah.
If you guys could have any old movie remade, what would it be? What would you want to see modernized?
Porky's.
Porky's. Starring Martha Stewart for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, my Martha.
My Martha.
Mhm.
How about you, Roland? What would you want?
I'm not a big fan of remakes, so I have to really, really think on that one. Trying to think what was just okay that could be made better. I'm gonna go way back to maybe The Thin Man.
Oh,
there you
very
go.
good.
Nice.
Yeah, because I don't know if very many people are aware of those movies, and I love those movies. I'm not sure they can get away with some of the stuff today.
Oh
Yeah.
I would love to see probably The Thin Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're gonna skip over Supergirl because we don't care about that one so much.
Yeah.
I wish I had nobody cared about my
Yeah.
shows. That's okay.
Yeah. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is coming out March 22nd.
Yeah. I hate the name.
They released a new trailer for it. We're not gonna watch the trailer today.
Yeah. But I do hate the name Frozen Empire. But the visuals look cool, and the antagonist is intriguing. But Frozen Empire is just like very meh. You know what I mean?
Yep. Guys, what do you think about this? Gina Carano sues Disney over firing from the Mandalorian, and Elon Musk is funding the suit.
Okay. Can I say something? Like, I think the fact that she's suing is irrelevant. I like the timing.
Timing's great.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, right now Disney is all in all this fight with Nelson Peltz for like the review of the board.
Right.
They're being flopping with all their movies all year long. The board is looking for a vote of confidence out of the people. The Mandalorian is the only thing they get, and all of a sudden, Gina Carano comes and sues them for the Mandalorian. So I don't know. To me, this is perfect timing. So whether she wins or loses, she wins.
She's beautiful, classy, and kind.
Yes.
And I am a big fan of Gina Carano. She plays great characters, and she is just a genuine person. So actor Gina Carano sued Disney and Lucasfilms on Tuesday for firing her from The Mandalorian in 2021 over a social media post in which she compared being a Republican to being Jewish during the Holocaust. That's a little disingenuous. We're going to read that post here in just a second. Because what she said, we'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
So the suit filed in California federal court alleges wrongful termination and discrimination, as well as a demand that the court should force Lucasfilms to recast her and pay at least $75,000 in punitive damages. $75,000 is nothing.
Yeah,
That's
To
nothing.
Disney. That's nothing.
Yeah.
So you see, it's more a PR thing. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The lawsuit in itself means nothing.
It's more for the fans to bring back Cara Dune.
And egg on the face of Disney.
Because that's what we want. So Elon Musk is funding the suit following his promise to pay for legal actions taken by people claiming discrimination from posts to Twitter/X. However, the post in question originated on Carano's Instagram story. So as a sign of X Corp's commitment to free speech, we're proud to provide financial support for Gina Carano's lawsuit, empowering her to seek vindication for her free speech rights on X and the ability to work without bullying, harassment, or discrimination, said Joe Bonnerock, head of the business operations at X, in a statement. And I'll be honest with you, guys. We do live in a world that you cannot speak your mind.
No,
in
you
fear of
can't.
cancellation. You will get fired. I've been associated with a group. We're not going to name names today.
Do it.
But
Do it.
no, so I've been
Come over
associated
to the dark side.
with a group called Comicsgate because of my political and my conservative Christian views. I've kind of been lumped in like, hey, that's who you are, and so that's where my fans are. And so we live in a world that if you are outspoken and use your free speech, whether you choose a label or not, people are going to label you, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to have to seek employment wherever you can, because these people don't want someone that thinks differently than them. We know that Aaron Lopresti, a wonderful man, man, pushed out of the industry because of his conservative views.
Yeah, he was the one that immediately came to mind.
Right.
And Aaron wasn't. You mentioned Comicsgate. Aaron wasn't Comicsgate.
No.
They shoved him into Comicsgate.
They shoved him.
And finally, from what I could see anyway, Aaron just said, fine. If that's what you're going to do, I'm going to embrace it. And
he's doing great.
But he was shoved there, clearly.
As many do from one level to the other.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about paying our dues, and I think about, like, you know, when you started out in comics, so you're not an artist,
right?
But you're a writer, editor.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you go about getting that job?
Yeah, so the short version is I packaged comics as a freelancer before becoming an editor. And so what that simply means, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what a packager does. I would put together the creative team, the writer, the penciler, the inker. I would put together an entire package and then submit that to the publisher. And then they would just decide whether they wanted to do it or not. And I did that for several years. And when Malibu got ready to grow, I was talking with the editor-in-chief at the time, and he said, we're going to be hiring an editor. And I said, well, I've kind of been doing that for you already. Why don't you hire me? And so he did.
So a lot of it making connections, working with people, but your work was your qualification for entry.
Yes.
It was always about the work.
Yes.
I remember for artists, they would go around to Artist Alley. They would, they maybe table, but they would take a portfolio with them. And everywhere they went to all these cons to show it off to editors and publishers to try to get jobs. And you worked at small, you did stuff for independents.
Right.
Once you had, you proved that you could hit deadlines and stuff, you worked for a smaller publisher, lower page rates. You got the work done, and eventually you made your way up to making the big bucks and working for the big companies.
Yeah.
But now it's not about your work anymore. It's about
who you know,
and your politics and your opinions now play a part in that. And let's be honest, I don't think that either Jack Kirby or Stan Lee would be working in comics. They'd probably get canceled today.
Yeah.
By their views and opinions, no matter.
And not only that, like the way Roland say it, like you have to be assertive. You remember what he said? Like, hey, I've been doing this already for you. Why don't you hire me?
Yeah.
That's being assertive as an artist. And as an artist, like we like to be wallflowers. Like be assertive. The worst thing they can say is no, or you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And dude, but you have to put yourself out there like that. Yeah. So
Carano played Cara Dune, a rebel soldier turned mercenary, for the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, which streams on Disney Plus, but she came under immediate criticism when she shared a post from a different Instagram account in February of 2021. Here's the post. You tell me if this is bad. Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? What she's saying is race and that ideology has been swapped with race, and race with ideology in this situation. That we are headed down a path that if you have different think, neighbors are hating neighbors for politics. And we're going to get to the place where if you think wrong, you could be hauled off to jail. She posted that in 2021. We have seen news reports and videos of people in England who posted something that was problematic, quote unquote problematic, on social media, have the police come to their door and haul them off to jail because of something they said on social media. She's not wrong.
I was canceled at the start of the cancel or culture war, and I had an entire neighborhood of people and close friends turn on me for something I said that was misconstrued. I don't really want to get into specific details, but I had for a little while I had people throwing dog feces in my yard. And one of the reasons that I don't throw my face up along the internet is because I don't want to get my fiance fired from her job, which is part of our like stable income and stuff like that. I live in a country like Canada, and the way I see it, it's getting more it's getting exactly what Gina Carano was talking about. It's getting more fascistic or whatever every day, where like, yeah, people are, the idea that cops could come to your door at any moment for whatever you say online. And I'm an outspoken, like politically outspoken person. There's a real danger to all of this stuff that people in the U.S. You guys have constitutional rights, where in other countries like Canada, the UK, certain other places in the world, we don't have those. We don't have that, constitutional stuff.
And let's fast forward even a little bit further. And now we have this whole thing where people are actively supporting Palestine. And there's so much anti-Semitism in the world right now that I think hating on Jews is
accepted.
And it's what happened with the Holocaust was terrible and tragic, should never be repeated. But we are going down those paths again, and it really is quite scary to see this stuff. And what Gina Carano was trying to do was unify and bring some light to the fact that, look, we're allowing ideology to make us respond the same way that the Germans did against Jews for a race. But when we look at that ideology, that same ideology is here because those leftists, I mean, and let's be honest, they're not just, I was a Democrat. I was liberal. They're not liberal. They're like weird leftists, okay? They're like weird leftists, okay? It's like a weird religion cult now. Those individuals want to eradicate anything that they deem bad. And I actually saw a post on Facebook where someone said that Israel is a colonizing something, like they were a tribe of something. They didn't even say that they were a country. I'm like, no, they're a freaking country, people. Like
dude.
It was.
That's the problem. People don't read.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, they said they're an invasive colony or something.
Yeah, they're an invasive. Because they're talking about the whole thing from 45 after World War II up until 47, when like Jewish people would come in and start buying land, especially in Tel Aviv.
Right. Yeah.
And then came the government. So they're an invading force. But dude, like the name Palestine is a Roman name. Judea Palestina was done by Hadrian. Before that, it was Judea.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's very selective reading. You know what I mean? And I don't want this show to go into that.
Right. Yeah. That's not what I want to. I don't want to go into that. But
reading, selective breeding.
But we see right now our culture is the world's in trouble. I mean, the world is clearly in trouble. And unfortunately, a lot of that ideology has made its way into comic books and entertainment. And now a beloved character like Cara Dune is removed because the actress is conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we run into.
And
Russ
Leach was awesome.
Yeah, she was. Russ Leach says, I doubt I'll ever be able to work for the Big Two again. Trying to gain access to the editors via my gigs from the UK was met with a brick wall. I would imagine I'm too stale and pale.
And dude, like, old. We are old. Like, dude, I'm almost 50. I can't even begin to approach any of the Big Two to say anything.
Yeah, Almega says, screw race, color, gender politics. We're all human. Bring on the outer space aliens. And you'll see how we all human, all of us, and we'll all be human. It's us against them.
I'm almost human.
Bring on the aliens.
Harry Turtledove wrote that book, didn't he?
Yeah. Ironic that Gina was a rebel life, a real life strong, independent woman. Exactly what they promoted, and just had the wrong politics. She really was. And it's unfortunate that's the case.
She can choke you out.
Yeah, it very much is. It's sad. It's sad that those old ways of paying your dues working in the industry are gone based on politics. And I'm not as outspoken as some. I'm outspoken, and I feel like I'm pretty moderate in a lot of things. You know, I'll call everybody out. I'm a true libertarian now. I mean, that's really what I am.
Nice.
And I just want to work and feed my family and make comic books and have fun. Really, I want to be left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry to get all political there, guys. That's
It's all right.
But what do you guys think of this lawsuit? The lawsuit counters. I do want to read this. So the lawsuit, it includes several elaborate Star Wars references. Here's one of them. It says that Disney Lucasfilms made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and that those who dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. The plaintiff points to previous social media posts from Star Wars actors Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill, in which President Donald Trump and his supporters were compared to Adolf Hitler and Nazis as acts of discrimination on the part of Disney, turning a blind eye to male co-stars' political statements with no financial or professional repercussions. That part right there, I'm telling you, I think it's well thought out. I think that she's got a case.
And I don't get it, man. My people love Trump. You know what I mean?
Right. South Americans, that's weird.
Yeah.
You guys
South
love Trump?
Americans and black people. They love Trump because the people had jobs, you know? And
Yeah.
I think that's it. People just want to be able to buy groceries and have jobs, right?
Exactly. It's
That
like
makes us all happy.
I want to be able to afford gas again.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, dude,
I can't
like-
do conventions because it costs too much
Yeah.
in travel expenses.
Yeah.
And-
It's crazy.
Yeah.
In Canada here, we kind of think of Trump as like well, I mean, some of the country hates him, some of the country likes him, but like from my view, it's we hope he inspires other politicians to become, less I don't know, woke or censorship or whatever,
Yeah.
I think you'll see that a little bit. I think people are just getting tired.
Well, I
the
think
whole
we have
thing.
seen it. I mean, look at DeSantis, right, in my state, Florida.
Yeah.
Look at Abbott in Texas. Look at what's going on there.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we have seen it. I think we have seen folks kind of reach that level with the federal government. Like, okay,
Dude.
that's enough.
It's around the world. People are tired.
Yeah.
Look
It's
at
scary,
Argentina.
too. Not
Look
just
at
it's not
Argentina.
just-
The first libertarian president ever just won in Argentina, Javier Milei.
That's amazing.
Nayib Bukele in El Salvador. Like that guy, like it's just no nonsense. Let's get rid of gangs. And everybody who steals goes to jail. So there's a wave now, man. So I mean, let's go back to comics, but yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's terrifying, to be honest, and because some of these, because you don't know where it's going to stop,
Right.
Right.
and you don't know when and if how many people are going to get hurt before it stops.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we're seeing, like we've said it across the board, people are getting kind of exhausted by it. I'm looking at kind of where the state of comics was in the 90s and where, in the early 2000s, it started to get more political, more ideologically driven. We saw that, and there were some things that was just like, they would create a character for the potential of a new fan base, and that was smart. I understood some of these books weren't for me, but there were certain things that you started seeing. We called it political correctness back then.
Yeah. Remember that?
We started seeing some of that
PC.
change. Yeah, we started seeing PC change some of the characters, and it wasn't all bad to begin with. Some of the stuff was like, yeah, we clearly need to do better. Let's do better, But then it kind of started taking a really kind of a hard turn, and I think we're seeing that reflected in comic book sales and fan engagement.
Yeah.
But independent comics aren't doing bad.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, not all of us are doing great, but some of us are doing really well,
Dude,
Because
like,
I think
don't
people
know.
want just to be entertained, and they don't want to be bombarded with stupid politics and ideology all the time. And
Yep.
look, I can enjoy someone's work
Yeah.
and disagree with them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, but the thing is, I think that the
But when
main
they're
problem-
toxic,
Go ahead.
it's hard to support them. I think, right?
Right.
When you see them, if I don't know their politics, if I think, okay, well, I disagree with their politics, because I've heard their blah blah blah. Okay, well, this is a good work. But when they're vocally, loudly toxic,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really difficult for me to enjoy the work that they do.
Well, I just call those people a-holes.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's hard for me to enjoy the work of that. You know,
I don't. It is really hard to enjoy the work of an a-hole.
I suppose it.
Yeah.
I
There
suppose
was a time when we were able to laugh at ourselves, because I remember like certain groups who are untouchable right now. Like I actually enjoy seeing them in movies. Like you guys remember Police Academy and the Blue Oyster? That was fun, and nobody was like discriminated. You just don't want to be in that bar. You're not into that because you'll dance some tango. You know what I mean? But nowadays, you do something like that and you'll be crucified. So what? Are you going to extract yourself from society because you're like an unmovable, untouchable monolith that everybody should worship? You're not going to be worshipped, sir. So what do you really want? I don't know. It's just, dude, I don't know. I don't get it. It's dumb.
I don't like Neil Gaiman.
Yep.
I don't like his personality.
Yeah.
I don't like his politics. I don't like his face. But I like his writing.
He's a great writer, but he's kind of a pretentious.
He annoys me. The person of Neil Gaiman annoys the crap out of me every time I see him saying or doing anything. But I like his work. And so
George Clinton's kind of like that. He's very, very political. He's very on the opposite side of the aisle as me. But I love his music.
Good music.
But I can't stand his political views.
Man, it was so easy for me not to like Bruce Springsteen when he got political. Because I always wondered, it's like, man, this dude can't sing. Why the hell is anyone making a big deal about this weirdo? Like, he's not any good. He's got a good band behind him, but he dances like a goof. And he sucks. Why is he famous? I could not understand for the life of me. And then he started getting all like, with his TDS and all that. And I was like, it's okay. More reason not to like the guy. I find, another instance, Ricky Gervais. I do not agree with him politically, religiously, socially. And he's kind of an a-hole, right? But man, is he funny. Man, that guy can tell a joke that just is so inappropriately funny that it even makes me laugh, It's I think that people are finally kind of getting over it. I'm reminded of this guy. His name is Shane. What's his name? He was on SNL, got fired because of his jokes that he wrote on a social media platform. Has a new special out on Netflix. It is blowing up. Guinness, I think is his last name.
Guinness doesn't ring a bell.
Ricky Gervais speaks very highly of me.
Yeah,
I'm sure he does. There we go. Shane Gillis. Thank you, Jelly Green.
There you go.
You know who I'm talking about. Shane Gillis. Very funny. Very, very funny. I guess he's been invited to host SNL. He got fired for the jokes he was telling, and now he got to host because of the jokes.
Well, the same thing happened to Norm Macdonald, right?
Right. Yeah.
He got fired because he was making fun of Madonna or something, like, or some like pop star, like she's a her, and then he got fired, and then he hosted like they fired me because I wasn't funny, but now I'm funny again. It's dude.
Hi, my name's Don Rickles. You're fired. You're out of here.
Yeah. So
we used to be able, like you said, Pedro, to laugh at, and speak our minds. But like Luke said, freedom of speech has been curtailed.
It really is. Roland, I really appreciate you jumping in this week.
Of course.
So we were supposed to have Chuck Dixon on.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have him on the week before. There's a funeral this week. He had
he kind of looks like Chuck Dixon.
A little bit. He kind of does.
Just saying. Yeah. Nobody would notice, Luke, if you didn't it out. I'm just saying.
Right, so
I've tried to get Chuck as well, and he's tough to nail down.
He is
He's
tough
a
to nail
busy
down.
man.
So we will get Chuck. We will get Chuck. It's going to happen. We will get Chuck. But you said, hey, I'm free, I'm available, and which is great because now I was a fanboy of Roland Mann back in the day. Malibu Comics, I saw your name on a lot of that stuff. I immediately recognized it when you launched Silverline way back then. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was a fan. It was you and Arrow Comics and a couple of other smaller companies that really inspired me to think, hey, I can do this myself. You know, I had that real 90s, F the man kind of mentality.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Silverline and Greater Mercury. Is there a connection?
No.
So,
No. Okay.
No.
So,
I always thought there was.
No connection.
So
Okay.
for a guy working in the comics industry, we've had a lot of talk lately about, can it be saved? Is the direct market in trouble? What do we need to do to bring comics back to the glory that it once was? I think that you have some experience in your life that maybe you can weigh in on some of those thoughts. And so I want to ask a few questions of you today.
Sure. I definitely have opinions.
And I want to hear your opinions. I really do. So you were working with the rock stars.
Yeah.
First off, I mean, I've already asked how that was like, but what was...
Most of it was good.
Yeah. What was
Was
the
it
energy
lucrative?
like? Yeah, what was the energy like there when money was starting to come in like a lot, like crazy?
Oh, dude, it was so exciting. I mean, you think about it. It's like we were making money, right? My job was to make comics. And look, I'm not a morning guy. Normally, I teach I teach classes and I have to get up. But today my alarm goes off and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get up. When I was employed at Malibu Comics, my alarm got up, went off. I got up. I'm like, hey, I get to go make comic books today.
Right.
There
That
you
was
go.
that was my attitude. That was and I don't know personally ever, but everybody in the company seemed to have that kind of attitude. Is like, we are making comics. They're paying us to do this. Isn't this fun? Right? Most of the people were fairly young. They'd worked at McDonald's and Taco Bell and different places like that, and they're like, we are making comic books. This is fun.
So, you talked about your bullpen. So you had like all these computers for colorists and stuff
Right.
like that. So nowadays everything's done online, and
Right.
You work in your little cave and email everything where it needs to go.
Yeah.
What was it like? The creative juices. What was that creative atmosphere like, having everybody that worked there in one building? What was that?
Well, so then we still had freelancers, right? We still dealt with the freelancers. And in fact, all of the I can't say all of them. Majority of the writers that we worked with were somewhere else. I worked with R.A. Jones, who lived in Oklahoma. I worked with Martin Powell, who I think was in Kentucky. Steve Englehart lived up in Oakland. Steve Gerber lived in L.A., but he was close enough to visit. I'm trying to think of some of the others. So they didn't come into the office, right? They were freelancers. Same for a lot of the artists. We had it was more of a bullpen than like the traditional bullpen that you hear from Marvel. These were the guys that made the corrections, that made the fixes, that did the last minute. Oh crap! This character is supposed to have a growth out of the side of their head, and they don't have one. Can you add one? That kind of thing. But the creative energy was always, up until the very end anyway, what was always high. It was fun. The offices were different than they were designed differently. The door frames were slightly tilted, and it looked like one of these little arcade places that you go in. It was a fun place to be.
Now, you guys obviously were making a lot of money to be able to have overhead like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we found out that DC was closing down their offices, that it was they're using a shared space. They rent an office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they go like hot
seats?
seats? They got like hot seats, like somebody farted on them.
Yeah.
Ugh.
They did that. I guess they did that right around the plague.
Yeah. So the we now hear about, the old times of how you learned from other people and the learning process that would happen and getting better at this whole publishing thing to make comics at a very high caliber. So what was that? I think I would like to know what was that atmosphere like, and what were some of the things that really helped with working with like these Image guys and Marvel? How did that elevate your understanding of making comics?
So one of the things that we did is Howard Chaykin came in pretty early. I'd only been there probably a year, I think, or so. Howard Chaykin came in and gave a series of talks to the editors about, editing and making comic books and understanding artwork, how art works with the words, and, talk about a lot of the things that a lot of us probably know kind of naturally today, but like the Z pattern and how, the flow of the art's supposed to move your eye, and you don't want your balloons to mess with that. The balloons are supposed to enhance that, So there was a lot of that kind of in-house support and training, and of course the beauty is that when you're there with a staff of other creatives, and if you can hold that original piece of, because it was all actual paper back then. And if someone sees something, then you can talk, oh, look, this doesn't work here, right? You need to fix this. Well, why doesn't it work? Well, here's this. And you can discuss it. You don't have I don't see a lot of that happening with all the digital stuff today. But yeah, it was an ever learning daily.
So are
thing.
you saying you had multiple eyes on every project, and sort of like everyone would play editor somewhat?
Yes and no. I mean, not officially, but
right.
Again, because we were so excited to be making every editor had an assistant, right? And so, but what would happen is I sat right next to Hank Canals. So I would get something in that was, oh crap, look at look how beautiful this new prototype is.
Yeah,
I would go next door to Hank and say, Hank, look at these pages. These are great. And he would look through them and say, oh, this looks great. Oh, but look, this here doesn't work. Are you going to fix this? And so it wasn't like an official capacity kind of thing, but yeah, we always had extra eyes on it.
I think that's what indie comics is really missing.
Yeah.
I don't like calling it indie. I like calling it creator owned, and I don't like calling it mainstream. I like calling it corporate comics.
Yeah, I call them corporate comics
because that's really the vibe that's going on there. I really think that's what we're missing in this side of the industry, is that kind of multiple people looking through it, and I'm seeing also that corporate comics is starting to fail a little bit, in the sense that they've had to cut down editors, or the editors they've got maybe aren't doing the greatest job. We hear a lot of criticism for Heather Antos around here.
Yeah.
She talk about someone who fails upward.
Yeah. She's at IDW now, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah.
She was one of them that did not get let go.
Right. Yeah.
And I know her first edited book the cover is April O'Neil.
April O'Neil and the ninja cover. That's a classic.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's some big things that she missed. But we see that. We see a lot of these people that are maybe not enough eyes are on it.
Yeah.
Kind of like what happens with, when I've got like one or two or three people that might look over my work.
Yeah.
And we miss things. We miss things.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe, just maybe, they really don't like comics. Because that's the vibe I get. Like, they don't get themselves to care enough to do the proper job.
We do see a lot of that in movies. Like, we hear that a lot with the people that are making these comic book movies. Like, well, I don't really read comics.
Yeah,
they told me not to read the comics, or something like that.
Listen,
that's
unfortunate. I was at a panel. I went to MegaCon a couple of years ago, and I was trying to meet a friend. A friend sent me a message. He goes, "Hey, I'm going to see writers." So I'm like, okay, well, I haven't, I don't have anything to do for this next hour. I'll come up and join you, right? So I found my friend, sat beside him, and I was listening, and I can't remember who it was. And even if I could, I might not say the name on the stream here. Mm-hmm. But they were talking about, this writer was talking about getting an assignment to write a comic. And someone from the audience asked, "Oh, were you a fan of that comic?" And they said, "No." I had never read the comic before.
Oh my god!
And my first thought was, what editor hired you?
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you hire someone who's never read the comic at all and is not familiar with the character? I'm like, that's a stupid. And so I leaned over to my friend and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. I left. I'm like, I can't listen to any more of this.
Yeah, it is again where people are hiring based on name, based on social media following, based on DEI stuff. I mean, all of this stuff.
Yeah,
they're hiring on that. They're not based on who is really going to be the one that's going to contribute the most of these characters. Now, you've had a chance to work on a lot of characters that some people might know and love. What's been your favorite character to work with? Your favorite story to work with?
My favorite story is probably Sludge Red Xmas. And that was written by Steve Gerber and drawn by,
Aaron Lepresti?
No, not Aaron. No. I did get to work with Aaron, but it's not Aaron. Oh crap! I'm gonna have to Google it because you'll all know him as soon as I say Xmas. That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Mike Plug.
Okay.
Wow, Mike Plug. Yeah.
Yes.
Legend.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Steve Gerber and Mike Plug. And it was just an absolute, that's one of the. It didn't sell well off the stands, and I still see it sometimes in the cheap boxes. But that's probably one of, for me personally, as an editor, probably one of my favorite comics that I ever edited.
Nice. Cool. So let's talk about the atmosphere. It was all about creating, right? Like you guys were focused on, somebody else was worried about publishing, was worried about the distribution and all the sales. You were there to make good comics.
Right.
So you've been acquired now by Marvel, and now Malibu is getting ready to go away. What was that like? What was the kind of the death of Malibu?
So it happened really, really fast. Okay. In fact, I got about a 2-day warning. Yeah. So when Marvel acquired Malibu, we did not expect it to be going away, right? We just expected that the pockets would be a little bit deeper. Hopefully, we would be introduced to a different. It's beautiful stuff. Look, if you can find it in the dollar boxes, you should buy it up because it's good. What was the question?
2-day notice. So 2-day notice.
Oh yeah. Malibu, we expected everything to go to be okay, right? And now the industry was failing. Our sales were having problems. Marvel sales everybody's sales were having problems. So that was a reality that we knew, right? So one of the things that happened is one day our president came to us and said, and by that point in time, we had lost our EIC and they hadn't been replaced yet. So our president came to us. He was the guy I was answering to at that point in time. And he said, I've been called to Marvel. I'm going to be on the flight tomorrow and I'll be unavailable. This is pre-cell phones, right? He goes, and I'll be unavailable. Well, okay, cool. No worries. Well, the next day, early that morning, we start getting phone calls that Marvel's fired staff left and right. Okay. Now, if I've got questions about that, I'll go to my president and say, hey, I hear but he was in an airplane, right? I could not reach him. I did not know what was going on. But freelancers were calling us all day long. Hey, I heard this guy got fired at Marvel. Have you heard anything? It's like, no, I haven't heard anything, right? And later in the day, of course, this was California, right? Later in the day, I learned that Marvel had let go a bunch of people. So we at Malibu said, okay, well, we're next, right? If they laid all of these people off at Marvel, they're not going to let us survive. So me and a handful of people, I literally packed my car that night. I said, they're going to fire me tomorrow. And I packed my car that night. I went home, got my wife. We came back up with both of our vehicles. I just had a lot of, junk comics and toys. I had a big Afghan hanging on the wall that my mom had made with the Malibu logo on it, and just that kind of stuff.
So where was the Malibu offices at?
It was in Calabasas, California at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
And so
far piece from Marvel headquarters.
yes, yeah.
The Savage Dragon came out of Malibu. I didn't mean to sideline you, but he
it was one of the Image books. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next morning, I got there earlier than usual, and there were armed guards at the door.
No.
Oh, armed guards.
Armed guards.
Whoa.
And so I go into the office, and I want to say right about, of course, we're all there. No one's doing any work because there are armed guards at the door, and we're like, what's going on? And then around 9:00, we had a loudspeaker, right? Around 9 o'clock, they said, Hank Canals, can you please report to Scott Rosenberg's office, right? And so Hank goes. About 10 minutes later, he comes back and just gives me the thumbs down. While he's walking back, they had called me. So, yeah. And they, which I now have found out is illegal. So they handed me a piece of paper to sign. They said, we're going to give you 6 weeks of pay, right? As your, what's the word?
Severance.
Thank you. 6 weeks of severance pay. And, but you have to sign this first. And I said, well, okay, I'll take this and let I didn't have lawyers, but I'm like, I'll take this and let my lawyers read it. So no, you don't get the severance pay if you don't sign it now. This is illegal. It's illegal. I didn't know that then. I mean, I was a much younger man, but I'm like, 6 weeks of severance. I can't not do that, right? I can't walk out of here and not have any money. So I don't know. To this day, I'm not really sure what I signed.
Some kind of NDA.
Probably.
Sure.
I mean, the thing about it is they hired me. They hired me, and I'd already had industry experience, right? So I don't know what they thought I was gonna to tell, what kind of secrets,
Yeah.
But I
It's all
signed
about
it.
control.
Yeah, it is.
All about control.
So I signed it so that they would hand me my severance check and walk
Wow.
in. To this day, I never got a copy of it either. So they never sent me a copy.
Also illegal.
Yeah. So
it turns out they were doing a lot of illegal there.
Yeah.
So what was the bridge between Malibu and Silverline? What got that going?
So Silverline started officially as a packager in the late 80s, and it kind of went away once I got hired, right? And then after the Marvel thing fell apart, I was like, I'm gonna in the independents. Of course, it was a wrong time for me to do it, and I didn't know it. But I was always an independent fan, going back to the '80s with First Comics and Comico and all of those companies. And so I said, well, I can do this. I know more people now. I didn't know as many people back then at the time. So I'm like, I know more people. I know the distributors. I didn't know the distributors back then. I know the distributors. And so I said, I can do this on my own. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided I would do it on my own. And so I started Silverline as a small press publisher. And I did that until about 2000.
Declining market.
In a declining market, yeah. And I lost a lot of money. And ultimately, that's what made my wife say, look, we can't afford this anymore. We got $20,000 in credit card debt, and you got to stop. So in 2001, I stopped, went back to school, got a degree, and started teaching, which is what I do today. I teach at the university. That pays my bills. Doesn't pay me much, but that pays my bills, and it affords me. A few years ago, of course, I started making comics again. And really thanks to crowdfunding and print on demand. That really changed the game.
That changed the game for a lot of us.
Yeah.
It lowered the price of entry.
Yes.
The cost of entry for a lot of people to create.
Because you used to, right, the Silverline that started in the late 90s, I had to print a minimum of 3,000 copies. Right? If I went to press with anything, and they were all black and white, but I went to press with something, I had to print a minimum of 3,000 copies. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of books. If you're selling, 1,000, 1,500 books, which is what I was selling through the direct market at the time, you're still got, 1,500 books you got to put in your garage, and that's barely, breaking even, not even making the money. And so, yeah, print on demand has really, really, really changed the way comics are made, I think.
Well, I think a big player in the ability to do comics, I think the first one I ever heard of was Kablam.com. And it was Kablam that made me think, hey, maybe I can do this. And so my first few comics that I self-published were through Kablam.
Yeah.
And the plan was to always print through them. And then I found, there's other printers that are doing this stuff. Yeah, there's the Kablam ad right there.
Yep.
And you are associated in some way with these guys there in Florida, aren't you?
Well, so associated with Tony in the sense of they print a lot of my books, but I've also known the guys for 30-something years. Okay. So the partners of Kablam, I have no business taking Kablam at all. I should just be straightforward with this. There are two partners, Thomas Flormonte and Barry Gregory. Barry Gregory I have known since I was in the 6th grade. Barry Gregory and I made comics together on notebook paper.
How dare you?
As 7th and 8th graders. And then Thomas Flormonte I met in college. And I have been working. He inked some of the original run of Cat and Mouse. And so I hired him to ink when I moved out to California. I hired him as an inker. And so I've been working with him for years as a creator. So yeah, I've known those guys for a long, long time. I don't have any business money stakes in Kablam, but I'm certainly a big proponent of Kablam.
Yeah, I know, big supporter, big promoter.
Yes.
And so they have Indie Planet.
Yes.
Which was a neat thing that, people could, and that's where my first comics were sold, was through Indie Planet links.
Yeah.
Because that was the only way that I could do it. I was doing all the work myself, and so it was huge opportunity for me to even get into comics. And now this whole print on demand thing, it's a lot easier to access, and a lot of people are
and
using
you had to mail stuff and fax stuff, things like that, Xerox and
yep.
And walk uphill both ways
Luke,
to school.
It's just wearing Luke out to use that stone tablets through the mail.
Right.
Costing too much.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
So what brought you from California to Florida?
So I'm from Mississippi. So I grew up. I grew up in Mississippi, and actually it was Malibu that took me to California. So when Malibu disappeared, I had no reason to stay in California. So we moved back to Mississippi, which is where my wife went to graduate school while I was doing Silverline, and a couple of other moves for different colleges, and about. Let's see, what year is this? 24, about 12 years ago now, 13 years ago, I got a job offer here in Orlando, Florida, to teach comic books. And, as a comic book maker, I couldn't turn that down. So
can you say what university you work for?
Yeah, I work for Full Sail University.
Oh, Full Sail.
Yeah.
The one creative people go to. Yes.
The one creative people go to. It is not your traditional college. It is, if you want a degree in biology or astronomy, you do not go to Full Sail. You go to Full Sail if you want to learn how to mix fat beats or shoot film. We've got a back lot on our campus, so a lot of film happening on our campus. So
every creative student wants to go to Full Sail.
Yeah, I gotta say, Full Sail reminds me in atmosphere a lot of Malibu, and part of that is because it feels very young. Mostly because I think all college students, college campuses feel that way, but it feels very young, and there's a lot of creative energy. There's always something exciting going on.
Protector, I mean, you with
Protectors,
like the Protectors and Gravestone, and Thresher is a great character that hardly ever got noticed, but he was great. Airman, just a lot. What was their philosophy? Did you just want to make good comics, or what was
absolutely.
What was the niche that they were trying to do? It was just the black and white, the '80s boom, and they were trying to ride the wave, or what?
Well, it was I mean, the literally all we wanted to do was make good comics, right? We were all pretty much comic book fans, and we wanted to make good comics. Now, RA, for the Protectors and Gravestone and that kind of family, RA was working to bring back some of the old Centaur characters. They were in public domain.
Oh, wow. That's going way back to the late 30s.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, absolutely. But they were all they're still public domain, but they're all public domain. So RA took a lot of those old Centaur characters and created the Protectors.
Like Airman would have been one of them.
Yes, Airman was one of them. See, it was Gravestone, Airman. As far as the spin-off, the individual characters,
and then they would
Amazing
mix,
Man.
like they would mix new designs, new characters in with the public domain characters, like Thresher was, which was kind of like a dope Wolverine, Aquaman.
Yeah. The idea was that, and I think that's still the idea when people do public domain characters today, is that you take something that's familiar, particularly if you're an unknown, you give something that's familiar and you present that, and then you give them something new as well along with it.
So you're talking about the atmosphere on campus at Full Sail, with that energy, kind of that creative freedom, I think is amazing. And hope. What does the hope smell like from kids? Like, is it? It's like, oh, the world hasn't gotten to you yet.
Pretty much. Yes, very much so. Film is probably the film and game writing is probably the two biggest dreams that I see from my students. And they all want to write the next. I'm not a big console gamer, but they all want to write the next big console game. I do some computer gaming, but mine's different than I'm more of a war strategy gamer.
They want to make Baldur's Gate. They want to make.
Yes, thank you. I'm sitting here. I'm trying to think of what are they? They want to make the new Baldur's Gate. They want to make. That's what they want to do. Or they've got their blockbuster movie hit that they want to make. And so they dream big, and Full Sail sells on that dream.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
The only critique I have of Full Sail, and maybe you can take my word to them, is that they don't have a 2D animation program.
No, there's no animation. Would you believe there's no sequential art class on the campus at all?
Yeah.
Nope. My the students who do come to me who are interested in animation, because we have animation writing, animation or comic books, ask me about that, and I'm like, I have said multiple times we need a sequential art class in one of the programs, but it just doesn't exist.
Sequential artists are working.
Yeah.
They've got jobs, right?
Yeah.
The people qualified to teach that class are probably not available.
No, but the thing is, for example, the school I thought I studied in Canada, Van Arts, it was all industry professionals.
Yeah.
All of them. And the things like Marcos Gonzalez working Ed and Eddie, Brigida Pollan working Tarzan.
Right.
Charles Phillips working God knows how many Canadian productions. So the thing is, like, I don't know how many studios are there in Florida where you can get, like, because you don't need like the best. You just need somebody who knows the fundamental of animation, so you can get the program going. And dude, that's the only thing. Like, I studied Full Sail, and when I was planning on moving to the U.S., I was like, oh, maybe I could apply there. I was like, no 2D program. Like,
yeah.
We got about 18 minutes left. I want to ask a few more questions of you, Roland.
Okay.
Whiskey, did you have something you needed to ask?
Yeah, I was not needed, but I was talking about your students, about them doing like video games and want to be the next thing. One of the things that I could as a game designer for 3D models and tabletop war games, stuff like that. There's a large, and why I got out of video games, went to that market, is that video games are oversaturated.
Yeah.
But tabletop games, miniatures, 3D printing, all that kind of stuff, there is the market's open, right? And there's a lot of potential there for people that have the same skill, some of the same skill sets for game design can easily find a place in that market as well.
Well, I think that's key, finding the niche. I mean, that's why in the creator-owned realm of comics, I focus on sequential art, storytelling, because there's not a lot of dedicated sequential artists working that's available for independent comics. You get a lot of cover artists. Everybody comes in wanting to be
Oh my God.
pinups and covers. The dime a dozen, right? And so, but there's not a lot of people that focus on just sequential art pages. And so that's, I think, that's what you got to do. Like in an oversaturated market, you got to find where the gaps are, and you got to fill those gaps. But speaking of gaps in the market, and how there is some talk amongst creator-owned and small publishers that are out there that we need to try to find ways to get back into the retailers, and maybe it's time to start approaching Diamond and Random House and Penguin Random House and things like that again. So I think my question is twofold, and I would like to get your opinion on both of these. Number one, how do we get back to that energy that we used to have, that excitement for storytelling, instead of the focus on politics, the focus on the things we hate, but more the things we love? And how do we translate that into getting those stories into people's hands? Is going back to the direct market the way to go, or is it something new?
So I just got back into the direct market for the first time in 20 years. This book is going to be in comic shops. Should be next week, I think. It might not be to the week after, right? So I don't know. I'm giving it a shot because I've always loved retailers, but I don't know. Time will tell, because so many retailers order only based on their subscriber base. They don't put many things on the shelves anymore because they don't want to end up sticking them in their dollar boxes later, right? So they order based on their pull list, subscriber list. As far as the answers to the creative energy, I mean, I have the answer, but I don't think anyone will pay any attention to it. So at Silverline, one of the things we like to say all the time is we make comics, not drama. And the unfortunate thing is that drama gets hits, right? Drama gets views. And so I think as long as drama, because there's a lot of, look, I'm friends with a lot of folks on both sides of the aisles, right? Aaron Lepresti's like, I've known him for a long time, and I couldn't really believe what happened to him, that they pushed him over into Comicsgate. And I have a lot of friends at Comicsgate. Mike Miller's a longtime friend, and Mike Miller did a lot of the Protector stuff way back in the day. Luke, you had a little experience with it, and the guy that you worked with, I know, and I get along with him. I don't, for me personally, it's like Silverline is not going to, people ask me sometimes, well, why don't Silverline just go be Comicsgate? And I said, well, because that's not really who we are, right? There's a whole bunch of us. And even though me personally, I might agree with a lot of the things about Comicsgate, there's still some, and I'm not going to name names, but there's some toxic personalities.
Oh yeah, there is.
And that is not who I am. And so for me, it's the idea of, remember what your mama told you. If you ain't got anything nice to say, don't say it, right?
That's right.
But I don't think anyone will ever listen to me, because I think that the people who are saying all those nasty things, or who say a lot of nasty things, admit it. Do we watch car crashes? Yeah, I watch, on TikTok, I watch all these stupid car crash videos, right?
Especially if there's fire.
Some of these guys are making,
right?
Some of these guys are making more on super chats than they are on comic books.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that's going to stop. And as long as viewers, right, keep going to them and giving them money, in the super chats, and I don't know, that it's hard for me to see that part of it ending. And what's frustrating to me, I think, is that it looks it's a lot of in-house fighting. So it looks like it's the people that are on the same team are doing all the fighting, and it's like, why? Just shut up and get along. I don't have
that
we're
we're
not
recycling that $100,000 in between us that we were accused of. There's $100,000 we give to fund our comics.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting on mine, by the way.
I know. I was gonna say I wasn't in line with that. So
I'm with you. I think that people need to be focused more on building their own brand rather than building the brand of a organized group like Comicsgate or Iron Age or things like that.
Which is funny because
comics,
the Iron Age thing, right? So I laugh at that every time I see it, because if you look at comics history, right, comics historians have put, we have the Golden Age, we have the Silver Age, we have the Bronze Age. Do you know we actually already have an Iron Age?
Yeah.
So how are these guys calling themselves the Iron Age? Are you trying to tell me that and I don't know who's involved, so if it's any of you guys, I apologize.
It's a loose group of people that use a hashtag to sell and connect.
Yeah. I've seen it on Twitter, but I don't know who. I really do my very best to not follow and watch any of the drama. Like I said, I know a bunch of the folks who are involved, but I try to. Anytime I see the drama, I try. I'm like, okay, I want to tell me about your comics. I'm interested in your comics, not your drama.
Yeah. Well, Phil and I are working on a distribution company. We're trying to find a niche for it that's called Iron Age Distribution.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're kind of capitalizing on this whole Iron Age movement thing, but really trying to find a way to help smaller publishers get into retailers or other markets. Newsstand is really where I think we're going to be focusing as newsstand.
Yeah. Well, I have said for years is that I think the industry's biggest problem is that our distribution model is broken. Now, I'm not a Diamond hater. Because
but it's been
I remember
that way for decades.
Well, it has, and sales continue to die, and that's the problem. Is if you look at sales today and compare them to sales in the early before when the newsstand was still around. I got into the industry just in time to edit newsstand books. So I did that probably for maybe a year and a half, something like that. I'd have to go back and look. We had newsstand and direct distribution. So, and you said you hinted at it earlier, Luke. I think is that the problem is comics are now they're not an impulse buy. You can't be standing at the checkout counter with your candy bar and your Coke and go, oh look, there's some comic books. Let me go grab one. Right? Junior. They're nowhere like that. Now, when we were, I'm assuming the ages here. I can't see whiskey, but I'm assuming ages. So when we first started buying them, there were newsstands, right? So you could buy them at 7-Eleven. You could buy them at Kroger. You could buy them at the drugstore.
A pharmacy. Yeah.
At the pharmacies. You could buy them in many different places, right? They were impulse buys, right? You were like, oh, look, I'm getting my Adderall, and let me get a Spider-Man too, right? Yeah. So,
I mean, I'm not that old, but I live in a backwards country. So I'm older than Luke, so.
But we don't have that anymore. If you want to buy a comic book today, you have to get in your car, drive to a comic book shop, if you even have one in your community, right? You might not have one in your community.
Or your country.
Or your country, right? And you have to intentionally go to buy a comic, right? There's nowhere, they're not readily available. Or you can go to a convention. You can say, well, they're available online. Yes, they're available online, but they're expensive online.
And that's impersonal.
I'm not only paying for the comic, I'm paying for the shipping.
So Roland, how did we make it? The pulps were cheap entertainment. Adults read them as much as kids. There were people that died on the battlefield in World War II with an Action Comics or a Detective Comics or a Captain Marvel in their backpack.
Yeah,
and they sold by the millions. How do we get back to that?
How
do we make it cheap entertainment again?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Printing is outrageous now.
There's one thing that I think, and I don't know if this is a place that I will hear a lot of kickback here. I think comics are too adult today. When I started reading comics off of the newsstand, you could give them to an 8-year-old, right? You could give them to your 10-year-old niece and say, oh, look, I just read this comic. You can read it too, right? Now, I would argue with anybody, there were adult themes in those comics that I read, right? But they weren't over the top, visually gratuitous adult, right?
Yeah.
I look around the independent market, and I'll be honest with you, there's not a lot of stuff I buy because my rule to myself is kind of like, well, if I can't give this to my 8-year-old niece, I don't want it on my shelf, right?
Yeah.
And I want to. I listen. I only buy independent comics, right?
Yeah.
I don't buy Marvel and DC anymore. I haven't bought Marvel and DC.
Even
Roland.
then, you know, the horror line that was big in the early 70s and the mid 70s when it was coming back from the Authority Code was PC by today's standards.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, because I was a kid, I was into monsters, and my first 2 comics dealt with Satanism, Upside Down Cross, human sacrifice, monsters. You know, the werewolf, and that was a Werewolf by Night with Frankenstein monster in it, and then also Vampire Tales that have Morbius, his origin in the living. You know, all about vampires.
Not only like edgy comics that you could give to kids, like the Donald Duck comics by Carl Barks. Those were full-fledged adventures.
Yeah.
Basically, the birth
and they
of
sold
manga.
the millions up until the early 70s for days.
But what I want to say, like, the birth of manga was because of Carl Barks. Osamu Tezuka, the creator of Astro Boy, huge Carl Barks fan. He had all the comics of Donald Duck. And that's the thing, you see like camera placements, sequencing. Yeah, it's the movies. And why that? Because Carl Barks worked on his own, and he couldn't put his name because they want to make kids believe that Walt Disney was drawing the comic books. So this guy was anonymous, and this is the power that comics hold. But how do we get there again? That's the thing. I think we should go back to pharmacies and 7-Elevens.
I think that's part. I think that's part of my goal and Phil's goal is to make comics an impulse buy. We're trying to figure out ways to do that. Manga is certainly doing well. So it is possible. I think Five Below's, dollar stores, things like that. We got to find a way to get back into those. I think there is a path moving forward. So did you go with Diamond for Trumps? Is that what you did?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I reached out to Lunar. I can't get anybody to respond to me there. But yeah, I went to Diamond for my first time in the catalog since 2001. So
I think Diamond is ready to start listening to some.
They are
smaller publishers now.
They absolutely are. I mean, if you look at it this way, again, Marvel and DC are selling at all-time historical lows, and we're talking in the history of Marvel and DC, all-time historical lows. Over 90% of Marvel's line when I was an editor, right? Over 90% of Marvel's line today would have been canceled by their numbers alone.
Absolutely.
Because the cancellation threshold was 60 to 70,000.
Same thing with DC. I mean, you would look at just the common run on a DC Comics Presents in like 87 was about almost 190,000.
Yeah.
And it was just a regular book. It wasn't anything special.
Yeah. Yeah. So I forgot what the question was. I was giving.
We're just talking about.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting back into using Diamond, and maybe Diamond's kind of the way forward.
Yeah. I do think that they're more open today because they need the numbers, right? Diamond makes their money based on volume. Right. And as the middleman, they need the volume. So
it's lack of content. They're hurting, so they're kind of focused on other avenues, right?
They need more. So, folks, we got about 3 minutes here. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up. I do want to thank Roland for being here today. Thank you so much for coming in. Awesome. You are a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah,
absolutely,
man. It's so great to hear about what you're doing. Most people don't know your name, and you're one of those people in the industry right now working in comics that people should get to know a little bit more.
Well, I've got a Kickstarter running right now. Tell them to go check it out. And it's got a beautiful foil cover.
Ooh. Check out Bam, yeah.
All right.
Wow. Look at that.
One of my admins, please put that in the chat for me, please. Definitely check that out on Kickstarter. Over on fundmycomic.com. Don't forget to check out Devil Flyer. Rex has a book over there that has funded in 4 days. Looking forward to that, so make sure you check that out. Check out aerocomics.store. Also check out lukestonestudios.com where we have where I'm doing the membership service over there. Instead of trying to move all of my members from YouTube to my website, I actually pull in a little bit more, and we're able to keep up with new content.
Sweet.
And as part of that membership, when a comic book gets done, you'll get a free floppy with it. We'll mail those out, physical copies, to you as they're finished. Don't forget to check out the work of Whiskey and Pedro that are doing a lot of great things. Rex has a channel he streams. Is it every day at 4 or just
every day at 4 Central? Yes,
every day at
7
4
days
Central?
a week, 366 days this year.
Yeah, so go ahead and check his workout. And Roland, you do a podcast as well, right?
Yes, sir. We sure do. Silverline has 3 weekly streams. Sunday at 8, Tuesday at the all times Eastern, Tuesday at 11, and Wednesday at 8. And I host the Sunday night stream. So
awesome, very good.
And to answer Luke's question real quick, because he didn't want to ask me, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I know it's been redone.
You got to do it again, though, right?
You got to do it again, you know.
Let's get it. Let's get it done, folks. Let's get it done. The pod people.
They like bacon.
Yeah, we love it. Guys, this has been a great show, great episode. I really do appreciate all of the chat being here and chiming in. Sorry I can't get to all of your comments. We're kind of getting to the point where we got to, when they make the bird dance, we'll focus on those and we'll try to sift through. But the conversations are great from you guys in the comments. I do appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, it's so easy to tear down. Build up more than you tear down. Focus on making some good content and have fun with it. Leave the woodpile higher than you found it. And you know what I'm about to say. By all means, my friends, please, please be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. 2 Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cash.